Hi guys, welcome to this lesson, which is the BGM Piano Theory course. It's over 2 hours long and it's basically 40 lessons combined into one video. This lesson is going to be entirely free, so if you want to learn everything here, just keep on watching. Now I just quickly want to tell you what I'm going to teach you in this lesson. It's piano theory and music theory in general, and I know it may sound a little bit boring, but it's actually really important. The stuff I teach you in this single video has helped me to play songs 2 or 3 times as quickly as what I used to be able to do. Having said that, I completely understand if you'd rather just learn a song you like or if you want to start playing right away. We're not going to be playing immediately in this video. I'm going to teach you some of the groundwork. It takes you 2 hours to watch, but it's going to be really valuable. Okay, so now that we've got all of that out of the way, let's start with the obvious. This is a piano. Now I'm not showing the entire piano. This is the last note you can see on the right, and this is the last one you can see on the left, but there's actually 4 more notes on either side. Okay, so just so you know that. Now I quickly want to talk to you about some of the obvious stuff you can see right away, but it also has some implications. So first of all, this piano is a regular piano with 88 keys. There's also other models out there with around 60 or around 40 keys, which are basically smaller. Okay, it doesn't really matter how big your piano is at this moment, but if you don't have a piano yet, I would always advise you to buy an 88 key one, because you have a bigger register and you can simply play more on there. Okay, but if you have a smaller one, using the transpose function, which you can actually Google, you can shift notes and you'll be able to play a lot as well. Cool. So having said that, this is a piano. You've probably seen one before in your life, and the main thing you can notice is that there's white keys and there's black keys. Okay, this is actually really important because the white keys and the black keys, the combination of them allows you to navigate on the piano. As you can see, there's a little gap right here, and there's a little bit of a bigger gap right here as well. And that means that instead of having black keys all over right here, you can actually navigate and look for these gaps. So therefore we have 2 keys and then 3 keys, 2, 3, 2, 3. Okay, and this makes it rather easy to figure out where to place your hands. Maybe not right now, but it will be later on. If we have a look at the white keys, you will notice that there's actually no gaps in between. It's like a millimeter or something like that. They're actually adjacent right here. The black keys have gaps, so you can actually put your fingers in the middle right there when you're playing stuff. Okay, this allows for a certain grip. So let's say you're playing something like this. You can place your finger against that key, so you know exactly where to play it. Whereas if you're on the white keys, you could stick it in between right there, play something like this. So this also allows for some grip and basically allows you to navigate even if you're not looking at the piano. Okay, when you're playing on the black notes, you don't have any grip to navigate like in the middle right here, but the keys kind of stick out, so it's a lot easier to feel them anyway. If you play the white keys right here, so you're not having your fingers up in there, but you play it at the bottom, then it's going to be a little bit harder to navigate because you don't have any black keys to touch. However, because the distance between all of these keys is exactly the same, it's quite easy to simply go through it and keep the same grip like that. Okay, so that's the difference between white and black keys. Also with the white keys, you have to pay attention that you're playing exactly on that key, because if you kind of lose your grip, you might play an extra note right there. So let's say I want to play the G, then I need to make sure that I'm not accidentally also playing that A. Whereas on the black keys, there's like no way that's gonna happen because they're sticking out, they're quite thin, so you're quite safe right there. That's an important difference as well. Apart from that, the distance between the black keys is a little bit different than with the white keys. The white keys right here in an octave have a certain distance. When I played on the black keys, it's just that little bit shorter. So that's also an important difference. Therefore, it might be easier for you to play octaves on the black keys than on the white. And also when I'm playing an octave right here, let me get my fingers out of the way, I have to pay attention that I'm not accidentally also hitting that note and also hitting that note. So I have to stay clear of these corners right here, which is also one thing you don't have to worry about on the black keys because there's no way you're going to hit that other note anyway. So these are the main differences between the white keys and the black keys when it comes to appearance and feel. Now I want to talk to you a little bit about how to navigate on the piano, because we can basically divide the piano into sections. If you have a look right here, you can see a section right here, 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 and here. And it's basically all the same. It starts with a white note, then a black, white, black, white, and then it's white, black, white, black, white, black, white. Okay, so basically 3 whites and 2 blacks, and 4 whites and 3 blacks. And we have the same right here. 3, 4, 3, 4. Okay, 3, 4, and here 3, 4. So what that leaves us with is a section right here of 12 notes, 7 white notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 5 black notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can basically divide the entire piano into these segments of 12 notes. So have a little go, see if you can figure out these little boxes of 7 white keys and 5 black keys, and try that out. It should be easy for you to recognize them after a little while. So that's all I wanted to tell you about the visual appearance of the piano and about the way it kind of feels with your fingers in between. So have a little go at that as well. See if you can find these boxes by simply feeling where they are. And now in the next couple of lessons, obviously we're going to focus way less on the appearance and on the way it feels, and we're going to start with the sounds, because eventually that's what it's all about. So thank you so much for watching to this first lesson. I know it's very basic, very introductionary, and most of the stuff is quite obvious, but it's good to think about it a little while to see how the piano is actually laid out and why it's laid out like that. Hi guys, welcome to the second lesson of this piano music theory course. Right now we're going to be talking about the name of the keys. So one thing that's very important to realize is, as I've shown you in the previous lesson, is that we have these boxes on the piano right here. It's 12 notes in total, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 white notes and 5 black notes. And we're gonna focus on the white notes today. So we have the box right here. Now you might think that we're gonna start right here with the A, but that's not the case. So the A is actually located here. This note right here is the C, and it's also the middle C. Okay, why is that? Because it's basically in the middle of the piano. We have a couple of C's because we have multiple boxes right here, and all of these notes are reoccurring. So let me quickly point out the C's. There's one right here, which you cannot see because it's off the camera, and then here. And then the very last note on my piano is a C as well, but that's also off camera. Okay, so in total I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 C's on my piano. Why do we call this the middle C? We call it the middle C because it's basically located in the middle of the piano, and it's a C. And this is one of the most referred to reference points on the piano. A lot of people will say, if you put your thumb on middle C, blah 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 blah, then we can start playing. Okay, so C, let's focus on this box for now. And from the C up, remember, to the right is up. It's actually quite easy, you just follow the alphabet. So C, D, E, F, G. Now remember, there's no H, no J, no K, no I. So this one is going to be A again, and then B. Okay, so C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then we would start in the next box, C. Okay, so starting from here makes a bit more sense. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Same here. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. A, B. Okay, so what's important to understand is that all of these notes are located on the piano multiple times. Okay, we have a C, as I said, right here, there, there. But we also have an A right here, there, and there. There's another one over there. There's one over there. Okay, so all of these notes are occurring multiple times on the piano. So what we're going to do right now, I'm going to walk through it one more time right here, and then I'm going to give you a little test. So C, D, E, F, G, A, B. I'm also going to remove the red square right now,
because I want you to get familiar with the natural look of the piano. Usually there's no red squares on there. And let me quickly show you all of the notes on the piano right now. Okay, so this is how they're laid out. Now a lot of people have stickers on the keys in order to learn that. I say please don't do it. It will only take you 1, maybe 2 days tops to learn all of these notes off by heart, and then you're done for the rest of your life. And that's not just the white ones, that's including the black ones as well. However, if you keep stickers on there, you will never be able to learn it because you will always need the stickers. So let's get rid of all of these and start the test. I will start right here and then we'll make it a bit more interesting. I'm going to play a note and you have to call out which note it is. Okay? Let's start with an easy one. Yes, indeed, it's the C. Okay? Let's do another one. This is also a C. Okay, maybe this one right here. It's a D. E. G. A. A B. Now let's make it a little bit more tricky. Okay, this is an A. A D. An E. A C. F. G. B. E. Okay, I think you're starting to get the hang of it. So what you can actually do is play some random notes. Just close your eyes and drop your fingers somewhere and then try and figure out which note that is. Now we're going to do it in reverse. I'm going to call out the note and I'm going to pull up this red box again because we're just going to keep it into this section right here. I'm going to call out a note and I want you to play that note. So please start off with an easy one, which is the C. If you play that one, you're right. How about the G? D. A. The B. Can you show me an F? Okay, just like that. So I think you're starting to get the hang of it. Let me do a couple more over the piano, like 5 more, and then we'll get into the next lesson. So what is this note? It's an A. E. G. D. What about that one? It's black, so you probably don't know which note this is yet because I haven't told you yet, but I am going to tell you that in the next lesson. In the next lesson, we're going to cover all of the black notes and I will teach you all of the names of the black notes, so make sure to watch that. Hi guys, welcome to the 3rd lesson in this piano music theory course. Now, lesson 1 is not required in order to watch this lesson, but lesson 2 is. So if you haven't seen lesson 2, make sure to go back, watch that first, practice all of the white notes, and basically it would be really helpful if you actually know all of the names of the white notes already before we're getting into the black note names. So having said that, right now we're going to be going into the black note names. I'm going to be showing you this box right here. I'm not putting it up in red again because I want you to start being familiar with this. Okay, so C, D, E, F, G, A, and B. These notes right here, we're going to be talking about the black notes in this little box. So the first thing you need to know about black notes is that black notes don't carry their own name. They're always being referred to as being next to a note. Okay? And therefore, a black note can be next to 2 notes all of the time. It can be, for instance, if we're talking about this note right here, it's next to the C, but it's also next to the D. Okay, makes sense, right? Because it's in the middle. Same for this note. It can be next to the D, but it is also next to the E. This note right here is in between the F and G. This one is between G and A, and this one is between A and B. Okay? So again, it doesn't carry its own name. It's being referred to as either on the right of blah 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 blah, or on the left of blah 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 blah. So let's have a look at this note right here. So I have to refer to this note as being on the right of the C or on the left of the D. Okay? And it's basically carrying two names. Right of C, left of the D. Makes sense? Now obviously that is a long name. So instead of saying this note is located on the right side of the C, we simply say sharp. So when you say sharp, it means that note is on the right side of that note. So this is C, and this is C sharp. Makes sense, right? C, C sharp. D, D sharp. F, F sharp. G, G sharp. A sharp. Okay? You can also navigate from the note itself, so C. If you move to the right from C, you get sharp, so C sharp, D sharp, F sharp, G sharp, and A sharp. Okay? So C sharp, D sharp, F sharp, G sharp, and A sharp. You'll probably notice that there's no E sharp and no B sharp because there's not a black note on the right. At least there's no black note with that name, as we'll see in the next lesson. You can also, as I said, refer to the note which is on the right of the note, but then you're basically going down. Remember, up the pianos to the right, down the pianos to the left. So if we go up from C to C sharp, it's called a sharp because we're going up, we're going to the right. If we're going down, we call it a flat. So C, well, there's no black note right here, so let's start on the D. D flat to the left will be this note. E flat to the left will be this note. G flat to the left will be this note. A flat, we're still going to the left, this note right here, and B flat. Okay, so D flat, E flat, G flat, A flat, B flat. Why? Because the black note doesn't carry its own name. It's always being referred to. It's on the right of the C or it's on the left of the D. Cool? So we have sharps and flats, and it's all the same notes. C sharp, D sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, or D flat, E flat, G flat, A flat, B flat. So this note is being called C sharp or D flat, D sharp or E flat, F sharp or G flat, G sharp or A flat, A sharp or B flat. So let's start with the sharps first. I'm going to play the black notes and I want you to call out the sharp name for it. Okay, so let's start with an easy one right here. Yes, it's C sharp. Now this one, it's also C sharp. Ooh, this might be a tricky one. A sharp. F sharp, D sharp, F sharp. Remember, if you're wondering about the name and it's called a sharp, have a look at the left, see what note is right there, and basically steal that name. So this one, look to the left, there's an F right here, so this is the F sharp. G sharp, D sharp, C sharp, A sharp. Now, to confuse you a little bit, let's go into the flats, okay? I know it's annoying to switch back and forth and it might take you some time to get all of this, but eventually you will. So, D flat, E flat, B flat. Remember, if you want to figure out the flat name of the chord, if you want to figure out the flat name of the note, have a look to the right. So there's a B, therefore this is B flat. Okay? E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat. Again a G flat, B flat, D flat, E flat. Okay? So right now I want you to focus again on this little section right here. We're just going to have these 5 notes, but now I'm going to be calling out sharps and flats at the same time, okay, in order to get you used to this. So try and get as many as you can. I'm going to call them out and then I'm going to show them. And I'm going to start with an F sharp. Please play the F sharp in this segment right here. It's that one. Okay, could you play me a D flat? G sharp, E flat, G flat, A sharp, C sharp, D flat. Oh, it's the same one. Okay. Let's do an E flat, F sharp, B flat, D flat, and a G sharp. Okay, so now you basically know the 7 names of the white keys, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and the 10 names of the black keys, even though there's just 5. C sharp or D flat, D sharp or E flat, F sharp or G flat, G sharp or A flat, and A sharp or B flat. Okay, you might be wondering, hey, how do I know whether it's a sharp or a flat? Actually, that's not that difficult. In most pop songs, you will either just have flats in the song or just have sharps. Okay, in the classical music you could have flats and sharps in the same song, but usually in a pop song, let's say there's a D flat and a G flat and a B flat, then all of them are flats and we never call any of them a sharp. You could also have a situation where you have a lot of sharps and then there wouldn't be any flats. Okay. So I'm not going to go into that too much because I don't want to tell you anything you're not ready to know yet, but yeah, we're either going to have a song with regular notes and flats or a song with regular notes and sharps most of the time. So thank you so much for watching. If you've been paying attention, you know that there's 7 notes, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then you also know that we only have 5 names with flat or sharp. So for instance, a B sharp, because there's no black note right here, we haven't been talking about that, or an F flat, for instance. However, these notes do exist and we're going to be talking about them in the next lesson, so make sure to watch that. Hi guys, welcome to lesson 4 in this piano music theory course. In the first lesson we've been doing an overview of the piano, what does it look like, white keys, black keys, etc. In the second lesson I've been teaching you the name of the white keys, and in the third lesson I've been teaching you the names of the black keys. So it's really important that you've watched lesson 2 and 3 so that you now know all of the white key names and most of the black key names. I understand that if the black keys, sometimes they're a little bit difficult, but I want you to at least know all of the names for the white keys before you start into this lesson. If you don't know them yet, let me quickly go over them again. C, D, E, F, G, A, and B. Okay? In this lesson, I'm going to be teaching you 4 new names that you don't know yet, because in total there's 21 names for all of the notes. Yes, we have 7 white keys, so we have C, D, E, F, G, A, and B. That's 7 names. Then we have the black keys, which have double names. Remember, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 black keys times 2 is 10. So that's a total of 17 names already, and now there's 4 names left for stuff we don't know yet. So remember, for the black keys, their name is a reference to the note adjacent to it. Okay, so this one is C sharp or D flat because it's in the middle of C and D. And all flat means is we're going to the left, and all sharp means is we're going to the right. So that brings us to these 4 keys. These 4 keys right here, who are white keys, but yet they can also be a sharp or a flat. Basically, all sharp or flat means is go on to the left, go on to the right. And because there's no black key in the middle right here, the closest note to the left from this F, for instance, is this E right here. And the closest note to the right from this B is this C right here. Okay, so let's start on that B. This is a C, as you know, but if I want to give it another name, closest note to the right, as here, C, C sharp, is a sharp. So if we go to the right, it's a sharp, remember from the previous lesson. So a B sharp would be this note right here. Okay, usually in almost any song we call this a C, but sometimes this is not a C, but it's a B sharp. Okay, because from the B, we go to the right, closest note is a sharp. Same goes for the E. We're on an E, closest note to the right is this one right here. Usually we call this note an F, but sometimes, very rarely, we call this note an E sharp. Okay, so B sharp, E sharp. What about the flats? Well, if you were on a C, and the closest note to the left, which is the rule for the flats, would be this note right here, which we usually call a B. But we can also call it a C flat. Okay, so this is either a B or in rare cases a C flat. Now, a C flat is a little bit more common than all of the other ones. You see it relatively often. So yeah, it's a good one to remember. C, C flat, and then also F, and one to the left will be F flat. Okay, so now we know 21 notes in total. There's a lot of them who carry double names, and there's only a few of them, these three right here, who carry single names. Okay, so let's start from the beginning just to rehash. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C sharp, D sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, and D flat, E flat, G flat, A flat, B flat. And now let's run through them all. So all of these sharps. B sharp, remember, this is the B, B sharp, C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp. So I hope that makes more sense like this. Okay, we could also start here. C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B sharp. For the flats, same story. D flat, E flat, F flat, G flat, A flat, B flat, C flat. Okay, so now you can see that there's actually 3 sets of 7 notes. We have C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then we have C flat, D flat, E flat, F flat, G flat, A flat, B flat, and C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B sharp. 21 names in total for only 12 notes. Now in the next couple of lessons we're going to be talking about whole tones and half tones, and this is where it starts to get really important, so make sure that you've got this stuff down before moving on to the next lesson. Hi guys, welcome to lesson 5 in this PGM piano theory course. By now you should have seen lesson 1 up until 4. Anyway, in this lesson we're going to be talking about half tones, and then in the next one we'll be talking about whole tones. Before I'm going to tell you about the half tones, let me just quickly remind you to visit pgmpiano.com. All of the lessons of this entire course will be up there, as well as over 300 other lessons for a specific song. So if you want to learn how to play a specific song, visit pgmpiano.com. For now, I want to talk to you about half tones. So what does it mean, a half tone or a whole tone? What it basically means is the difference between two notes. Okay, so if we have the middle C right here, let's say this is the starting point, then we could go half a tone higher or half a tone lower. Okay, so it basically measures the distance between notes. Half a tone higher from C would be C sharp right here, or half a tone lower from C would be the B. Okay, it's basically the closest note you can find on the piano, and that's why it's quite easy to do so. So if I'm here, half a tone higher, there, half a tone higher, there, half a tone higher, half a tone higher, half a tone higher, etc. And I can just keep on going up. And then I could also go down on the piano, so half a note lower. Remember, down is to the left, up is to the right. So let's go down half a note to B flat, A flat, G flat, F, E flat, D flat, and C. Okay, so half tones basically means just the closest gap you can possibly go. There's not a note to be found between C and C sharp, so half a tone is right there. So in the next lesson, I will also talk to you about why there's only half a tone between E and F, where that might seem weird to you. So that's going to be in lesson 6. For now, all you have to remember is the closest distance between all of the notes. It's called half a tone. It's really easy, nothing weird about it. So let's get on with lesson 6. In the meantime, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Make sure to stay subscribed to the channel, and I hope to see you very soon. Bye bye. Hi guys, welcome to lesson 6 of this PGM piano theory course. In this lesson, I want to talk to you about whole tones. In the previous lesson, as you remember, a half tone means the closest distance on the piano. So C to C sharp or C to B. That's a half tone. A whole tone is basically 2 half tones. So in this case, if we start on C, go up once, and another note is a D. Okay, so C and D, there's a whole tone difference. Between D and E, there's a whole tone difference. Why? Because we go up half a tone and a whole tone right here. Okay, so C to D is a whole tone, D to E is a whole tone, E to F, oh wait, that's not a black key in the middle. Okay, so this is where it might get a little bit confusing. C to D is white to white, whole tone, D to E, white to white, whole tone. Now, if I want to do another whole tone, I have to jump here to F sharp. Okay, why? Because if I'm on an E, if I go half a tone up to F and then half a tone up to F sharp, that's a whole tone. Okay, then from here, half a tone up to G sharp for a whole tone. So F sharp to G sharp is a whole tone. G sharp to A sharp is a whole tone. And now A sharp not to C sharp because there's 2 in the middle. No, A sharp, half a tone up to the C is a whole tone. Okay, so these are the whole tones. Now it doesn't sound like a regular scale like that, and that is because in a scale sometimes you go half a tone up and sometimes you go a whole tone up. Makes sense, right? So to recap, half a tone, you just go to the nearest piano key on the right if you want to go up, or on the left if you want to go down. If you go up whole tones, you have to skip a key every single time. Okay, so whole tone up, 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 and then here. Okay, you could also start on C sharp, go a whole tone up, so skip the D, go to D sharp. Go a whole tone up, so skip the E, go to F. Go a whole tone up, so skip the F sharp, go to G. Skip the G sharp, go to A. Skip the A sharp, go to B, and skip C up to C sharp. Okay, so basically all that I'm doing here is pointing out what is the distance between 2 keys. In this case, it's a whole tone because there's 1 in the middle. In this case, it's a whole tone because there's also a key in the middle. In this case, it's a half tone because there's no key in the middle. Cool? So another way to remember it, if there's no key in the middle, it's a half tone. If there's 1 key in the middle, it's a whole tone. So now hopefully you know all of the names of the white keys, all of the names of the black keys, you know what whole tones are and what half tones are. And now in the next couple of lessons, I'll be talking about scales. So that's where we're really gonna take a big step from the real basic stuff into the more advanced stuff. Hi guys, welcome to lesson 7 of the PGM Piano Theory course. In this lesson, I'm going to be teaching you about key signatures, and I'm presupposing you already know the name of the white keys, the name of the black keys, and what a whole tone and a half tone is. And if you don't know that yet, go back to the previous lessons, lessons 2, 3, and 4 for the name of the keys, and lesson 5 and 6 for the name of whole tones and half tones. For now, let's talk about key signatures. So as you can imagine, with all of these different keys right here, if you play everything at the same time, or a lot of them at the same time, sometimes it sounds good, Okay, and sometimes it sounds bad, right here for instance, right? So you always want to have a key signature, basically a template for which notes you're going to play. And it's not just which notes you are going to play, it's also which notes you're not going to play. And every song is basically using a key signature. Most of the songs are being played in a certain key. So I could play this for instance. Right? And let's see which kind of notes I'm actually using. Let's focus on the right hand. I started here, so we have B, D, and G, and then I went to B, E, G. So now we have B, D, E, and G, and then I played C, E, G. So we have these notes, and then I played A, D, and F sharp. So we're playing all of these notes right here, right? This is what the song is consisting of. And I'm not playing any of the other notes. So if I would play any of the other notes in there, it would sound kind of weird. Now this also doesn't sound that brilliant, but if I put it on the G, all of a sudden it makes sense. Okay? So why that sounds good, we'll figure that out when I talk about the G major scale. But for now, I'm playing these notes right here. And as long as I'm playing these notes, it sounds good. However, I'm going to play a note that's not in there, like for instance, these, it sounds really weird all of a sudden, okay? So as long as I'm playing notes that are in the key signature, I can do quite a lot of stuff and it will still sound good, okay? Okay, why is that? Because I'm playing the notes that are in the key signature and I'm not playing any other notes. If I do the same way but I play something else, and now I'm gonna, it messes it up because I'm using notes that are not in the key signature. So basically a key signature is a template that says you can play these notes but you cannot play these notes, because if you do, it will mess things up. Now every song has at least one key signature. It could have multiple, it can go back and forth from one to the other. But yeah, it's really important that you realize which key signature is being played. You don't necessarily have to know the name, but you have to understand which notes you can and can't play, especially if you want to improvise. So in the next lesson, I'm going to be teaching you about major scales. A scale is basically the same as a key, but it's a way to explain which notes are in the key, right? A key is the whole name for the whole thing, and a scale will tell you exactly which notes are in there. So in the next lesson, I'll be talking to you about major scales and the C major scale, and then after that we'll be doing the F major scale and also the G major scale in the lessons to come. For now, have a good day and I'll see you tomorrow with the C major scale. Hi guys, welcome to lesson 8 of the PGM Piano Theory course. In the previous lesson I talked to you about key signatures in general. Today I want to talk about the major scale and also the C major scale specifically. So as you probably remember from yesterday, a key signature is just a template showing you which notes you can and which notes you can't play. And we played these notes right here. Okay, and that's a major scale. But it's not the major scale we're going to be talking about today. We'll do that in 2 days' time. For now, I want to focus on the most known major scale, which is the C major scale. Probably sounds a little bit familiar to you. We have all of the white keys in there and none of the blacks, as you can clearly see. However, there's a lot of other major scales, like the one we did yesterday. Or this one. Okay, this one right here. So how is it possible to remember all of the major scales? Well, there is actually a little trick. Look above the piano right now, you see WWH, WWWH. And what that means is, remember the whole tones and the half tones? If we start on the name of the scale, so if we do C, you have to start on a C. Right? If you do F, you would have to start on an F. If you do G sharp, you have to start on G sharp. It's that simple. So if you start on a C, what you're going to do is a W, which stands for whole. So a whole tone, remember? That's a whole tone. Then another W, so not a whole tone. Now an H, which means a half tone, right? So go from this half tone up to the F. Now another W, so a whole tone, W, whole tone, W, whole tone, and then an H, so another half tone. Okay, so starting here we do a whole tone, a whole tone, a half tone, a whole tone, a whole tone, a whole tone, a half tone. Okay, and I should remember, because there's a half tone right here and a half tone right here, that actually fits, and therefore we're not going into any of the black keys. Cool? So the C major scale, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Whole tone, half tone, whole tone, half tone. We can also do that somewhere else. So if we start here, we do a whole tone, a whole tone, a half tone, a whole tone, a whole tone, a whole tone, and a half tone. Okay? We could start here. Do a whole tone, a whole tone, a half tone, a whole tone, a whole tone, a whole tone, and a half tone. Okay? So like that. You can pick any note you want, doesn't matter where you start, and then apply this principle, and you will always get the major scale for that note. Okay? All you have to know is the name of the note, so B flat major scale. You do a whole tone, half tone, whole tone, whole tone, whole tone, and a half tone. Okay, it's that simple. So for now, please remember to give this video a thumbs up if you like it. Remember, WWH, WWWH, and you will always find every major scale in there. And for now, we'll be moving on to the F major scale. Hi guys, welcome to the 9th lesson already in the PGM Piano Theory course. In lesson 7 we talked about key signatures, and in lesson 8 we talked about the major scales, specifically the C major scale. And today I want to teach you the F major scale. Now I've already taught you the little trick in order to figure it out, which is WWH, WWWH. If you don't know what that means, go back to the previous lesson, because it's really important for you to understand that rule. But I'm just gonna apply it to the F major scale right now, so you can have a few more examples. So, what do we have to do in order to find a scale? We have to look up the note. So if we want to learn the F major scale, we have to start on an F right there, and now we're gonna apply the WWH rule. So W, so a whole tone. W, another whole tone. Now H, so half tone. Whole, half. Okay? So starting here, F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F. That's the F major scale. Okay, so that's really easy. If you want to practice these scales, you may want to start like maybe here and just walk your way up. Okay, so you can use like 3 octaves or 4 octaves of the piano and just go through the entire scale in order to practice it. You can also practice it with the left hand walking down. That's always good exercises to do. For now though, I want to thank you for watching. I know it's a short lesson, but it's so easy to find these skills with the WWH rule that we don't need to spend a lot of time. And I will see you tomorrow to teach you the G major scale. Hi guys, welcome to lesson 10 already of the PGM Piano Theory course. In lesson 7 I talked to you about key signatures. In lesson 8 I talked to you about the major scales and the C major scale. And in the previous lesson, I taught you the F major scale. So I want to ask you to watch these lessons first if you haven't done so already. And today we're going to be talking about the G major scale. Now, the reason I walked through the C, the F, and also today the G, even though you might be able to find them yourselves, is I want to make sure that you understand the system correctly, and then I'll leave it alone. So in the next lesson, we'll be doing the next cool thing, which is going to be minor scales. But I want to make sure that you have the system of WWH in your head. So again, in order to find the scale, we have to start on the name, on the key with the name of the scale. So for G major, you have to start on G. Now we have to go up a whole tone, another whole tone, now a half tone, a whole tone, a whole tone, a whole tone, and a half tone. Okay, so right here. So G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. Okay? So what I want you to do is practice them. Start here. A good way to do that is by playing thumb, pointer finger, middle finger, go under and play the thumb again, pointer, middle, ring, and then if you want to end it, play your pinky, and you can go back up, so like that, or if you want to continue, you do thumb, pointer, middle, thumb, pointer, middle, ring, and now you slide the thumb under again, and do the same thing, etc. Okay, whoops, hit that C sharp right there. So apparently I need to practice a little bit as well. So practice this, practice the C, practice the F, and practice the G. Okay, so as a little bit of homework, I want you to practice the three major scales we covered: C, F, and G. Okay, practice these before moving on to the next lesson. Hi guys, welcome to lesson 11 already of the PGM Piano Theory course. If you're still watching, I want to congratulate you. I know it might be interesting and also challenging to watch through all of these lessons because there's a lot of stuff to learn and it's not the most exciting stuff, of course. However, this is really important to learn. Right now I'm going to teach you the little secret for minor scales. Remember the WWH, WWH for the major scales? Now for the minor scale we also have a little secret like that. However, this one is WH, WWH, WW. So let's start on the A and do a whole note, half note, a whole note, a whole note, half note, a whole note, and a whole note. Okay, so like this. This is the natural minor scale. You also have harmonic and melodic minor scales, but we're not going to be talking about that in this course because it's a little bit too advanced. However, as you can hear, the minor scale sounds a little bit different than the major scale. Okay, but with this little secret you can figure out any minor scale you want. If you want to have C minor, do a whole note, half note, whole note, whole note, half note, whole note, and a whole note. Okay? Like that. So you may have noticed that the C major scale carries the same notes as the A minor. Okay, it's the same notes. However, it's a different scale. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that in the next lesson, lesson 12. Hi guys, welcome to lesson 12 of the PGM Piano Theory course right here on YouTube. Today we're going to be finishing up the part about scales by going from a major to a minor scale, or from a minor to a major scale, and I'm going to teach you how to do that. Now it goes without saying that you should have watched lesson 1 through 11 before watching this one, but if you haven't, some of the stuff is quite introductory. So if you know the name of the white keys, the name of the black keys, you know what half tones are and whole tones are, and if you also know the C major scale, the F major scale, the G major scale, how to find major scales and how to find minor scales, then you're up to speed and you can just start with this lesson. If you don't know any of these things, make sure to watch the previous lessons to get your knowledge up to par. For now, we're going to focus on the C major scale and the A minor scale. Okay, why is that? Because the A minor scale and the C major scale have exactly the same notes. Look, C major, all of the white notes, the A minor, all of the white notes as well. That means that these two are connected. The C major scale is exactly the same as the A minor scale. Even though obviously you start on a different note, the type of notes in there are exactly the same. So it would be helpful if there was a formula to go from a major scale into a minor scale. So we know that the C major has the same notes as the A minor, but let's say for instance the F major scale. Okay. Would that also share the same notes with another scale? So for the F major, remember, we have all of these notes and then also one black one, so the B flat. Now if you have a look at the D minor scale, you will notice that it has the same notes as the F major. Look, all white notes except for the B flat. That's exactly the same as F major. So D minor and F major also belong to each other, right? So now let's see if there's a pattern. From C to A, there's 1, 2, 3 half notes in between. And from F to D, there's also 1, 2, 3 half notes in between. Now, it turns out that for all of these scales, this rule is applicable. So if you ever have a major scale, like let's say the G major scale, and you want to find the corresponding minor scale, all you have to do is drop back 3 half notes. 1, 2, 3. You'll end up on the E. And you'll end up on the E minor scale. So remember, when they correspond, all of the notes in both scales will be exactly the same. Look, C, all white notes. A minor, all white notes. When I go to F, all white notes except for the B flat, and D, D minor, all white notes except for the B flat. If I try a G, all white notes except for the F sharp. And then if I try the E minor, all white notes except for the F sharp. So this way you know that these two are connected. The easiest way to find it is if you start on a major to drop 3 half notes, and if you start on a minor to go up 3 half notes. Okay, so have a go with this, try out a couple of the major scales and see if you can find the corresponding minor scales. And then in the next lesson, I'm gonna teach you all about intervals. Hi guys, welcome to lesson 13 already of the PGM Piano Theory course. Today I'm gonna be teaching you about intervals. Now if you're watching this, I hope you've watched all of the previous lessons. I've covered the name of all of the keys on the piano, whole tones and half tones, and also everything you need to know for now about scales. So if you don't know that yet, please go back. If you do know all of that, keep on watching, and we're going to be talking about intervals right now. So what is an interval? An interval basically shows you the distance between two notes. Okay? So for instance, if I'm playing these two notes, there's a certain distance between them, and an interval will actually indicate what the distance is. So let's start out with the C major scale right here, and we're going to be calling out the intervals. Now what's really important, where a whole tone, for instance, if you start here, is moving 2 half tones up, with intervals you're not going to say there's a whole tone difference right here, you're going to say this is a second. Okay, so that's a little bit different. The way you count it is different. So with intervals, what you want to do is start on the tonic, which is the name of the scale, C major. We have to start on a C, and that note, the C, is already called 1. Okay, it's a first. Then if you move up to the D, that's the second. E would be a third. Okay, but it's not just that single note, it's actually the distance between the C and the next one. Okay, so first, second, third, and then fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth. Okay, you could also continue on, 9th, 10th, etc., and even further. But for now, let's just keep it to 7th and 8th. Okay? So there's two main things you have to understand here. One, you have to start counting on the ground note, on the tonic, and then go up first, second, third, fourth, fifth, etc. Okay? The second main thing to understand is that we're not counting distance. Because I'm doing this on a C major scale, you might get the impression that a second or a third or a fourth is simply the next white key. Okay, and with the C major scale, that is actually the case. But with a lot of the other scales, it isn't. So let me show you what I mean. Okay, so first, then the second, there's 1 half tone in the middle. Third, there's 3 half tones in the middle. When I go to fourth, there's 4 half tones in the middle. So we go from 1 to 3 to 4. Then, If I go to fifth, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 half tones in the middle. So we go from 1 in the middle to 3 to 4 to 6, which is not a logical step per se. Okay? 8, 10, 11. Okay? This means that we're not just counting the distance between the notes in a visual way, but we're actually counting the distance in a scale. So it's definitely not the layout of the piano, it's a scale. And in order to show you what that means, let me play the F major scale. Okay, this one. A first, second, third, fourth. No, this is not the fourth. This is the fourth, okay? Because we have that B flat in the scale. Then, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth. Okay? So it's not just about white keys, goes into black keys as well. If we have a look at the A flat major scale, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, and a ninth right there. So it's going from black to white, crisscrossing over the piano. So what's important to remember? First, second, third, etc. We're counting in a scale. We're not counting on the piano. We're counting in a musical scale. Let's do one more with a G. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. Okay? So keep in mind, you can only play the notes that are in the certain scale that you're playing at that moment, and then you count the distance from the ground note, from the tonic. Okay, that's going to be the first, and then the next note in that scale, not the next note on the piano, but the next note in that scale is going to be the second, and then the next one will be the third, and then the next one will be the fourth, etc. So all you need to remember from this lesson is that we're counting on the first note. That's where we start. We're not counting on the second one already. No, we're actually counting on the first note of that scale, and we're counting through the scale, not visually on the piano. In the next lesson, I'm going to be teaching you all there is to know about octaves. Hi guys, welcome to lesson 14 in the PGM Piano Theory course. Today I'm going to be teaching you about octaves. In the previous lesson I taught you about intervals, and if you haven't seen that yet, it's really a must before watching this lesson, so make sure to check that out. For now though, I want to talk to you about octaves. And even though you may not realize it yet, you already know what an octave is, because an octave is nothing more or less than an eighth. Okay, remember the intervals? First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. Okay, this is an octave. Why do we call it an octave? Because it's the same note as the ground note or as the tonic. Okay, you can see that it's two C's right here. That means that all of the notes have been in the middle, and therefore we're on a C again. However, it's not the same C, it's what we call an octave higher. Okay? So this is an eighth or an octave, and octaves are actually really nice to play around with. We're going to be playing a lot of octaves when we get into the chords section later on in this theory course. But for now, what's important for you to realize is that octaves are really easy to find because it's simply the same note twice. So if I would ask you to play a G sharp octave, you find a G sharp and another G sharp, and you've got your G sharp octave. D flat, F, B. It doesn't matter, you can find these octaves really easily. Another thing to realize about octaves is that the distance between the notes, on the white keys at least, is exactly the same. And then on the black keys, as I told you in the very first lesson of this course, it's going to be slightly smaller, about 3 or 4 millimeters, but it's also roughly the same. Therefore, once you learn how to play an octave in, for instance, your left hand, which we're going to be doing a lot in the chords section of this course, you'll be able to simply play octaves all the time just by keeping the distance between your pinky and your thumb exactly the same. So we're going to try that starting on the left hand. Play a C octave right here. Remember, this is the middle C. So play one octave lower, as you now know, this is one octave lower with your pinky. So play a C octave, and then simply keep your hand in the same position and move it up to a D octave. Now to an E octave, F octave, G octave, A octave, B octave, and we finish up on a C octave. Okay? Now, if you're having trouble to play this, what I want you to keep in mind is that if you look at my thumb, it's actually placed on the side. So I'm playing with this part of my thumb. I'm not playing with the bottom part. Okay, I'm playing with this side. So I twist my hand, I tilt my hand, and played with the side of the thumb. Same goes for the pinky. I'm not trying to play it like this, but I actually turn my hand and play with the side of my pinky. Therefore, I can actually put a bend in my pinky, a bend in my thumb like that, and it will hit the note right here. And it will also steer clear of that other note that I don't want to play. Because if I would play it flat, it would be like this. But I rotate my hand so it can actually go like this around the note. Yes? Like this. As you can see, the corners are not being played right here. Let me get rid of the rest of the hand. So like this, the corners, I'm just missing those corners by tilting out the thumb and the pinky. Cool? So let's give that another go. And now, continue on with right. Okay, let's try this in the F major scale. And with right. Like that. The G major scale. And with right. Now, by all means, if you haven't been playing for a long time, don't worry, you don't have to go as fast as I'm doing. Just pause the video and try it a couple of times. Okay? This is not about learning how to play octaves. This is about the theory behind it. And I want you to mainly focus on getting the theory of playing the same note at the same time. Okay? It's not about whether you can actually play it or not. We'll get into that a little bit later. Let's do one more, the A flat major scale. Okay, now you don't always have to play an octave by playing the notes at the same time. Okay, you can also go like this. Okay. Which is obviously a little bit harder. A nice thing to practice, if you want to practice playing octaves, is by playing them at the same time with both hands. So let's do it in the C major scale. And you can go back. Okay. You can also split your hands, so. Okay, so have some fun with that, play around and see if you're able to play these octaves. It's also really good to practice by just saying I want to play G octave and then playing that I want to play F sharp, A flat, B flat, G flat, whatever, and just try and playing all of these octaves really quickly, because the better you'll get at that, the better it will be. But again, it's mainly about the theory for now. We'll get into actually playing those octaves later on. For now, it's just important for you to realize that we're talking about an eighth, talking about the distance between these notes. You don't have to play them at the same time. Sometimes you will, sometimes you won't. But an octave is simply the distance. And when I say you're going to drop it an octave, let's say we're playing right here, and I say drop your left hand an octave, that simply means your left hand is going to skip a whole box. Remember those boxes? All the way down right there, dropping it an octave, going up an octave, going down an octave. Okay, so for now, head over to the next lesson and I will see you there. Hi guys, welcome to episode 15 of the PGM Piano Theory course. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to draw the circle of fifths, and that's a really cool thing. It's the last purely theoretical topic we're going to discuss in this course, and then after having taught you about the circle of fifths, we're going to be doing a lot of really cool stuff
and actually playing the piano as well. I'm going to give you an introduction to chords, and then I'm going to teach you all of the ways you can use chords to make it a lot of fun and easy to play the piano. So for now, I hope you watched all of the lessons before this one. It's not necessarily important that you did, but it's really good to follow the course chronologically. And I'm going to teach you how to draw that circle. And in the next couple of lessons, I'm going to teach you why it's so useful to have that circle of fifths. So there's a couple of ways to do it. The first way is to simply copy it down because it's up there already. And, you know, that's one way to do it and to remember how it goes. Another way to do this is to actually use the piano to draw that circle. And if you want to do that, please have a look above. You can see the C is in the middle. So we have a C right here. But what we're going to do is we're going to start on this C right here and then make our way up the piano using fifths. Okay, so the first note you have to draw is a C. So let's start on the C right here and we play fifths. So to a G. And then the next fifth is going to be the D. Okay, and you can see clockwise on the circle we have C, G, D. Okay, then the next fifth an A, E, whoops, B, and then F. But if you remember correctly, from B to F, that's not a fifth. Okay, you have to go up to F sharp. Okay, because it's 7 half notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so C, G, D, A, E, B, F sharp. Okay, now on the circle this is either F sharp or G flat, and then we're going to continue on. But let me just drop down a little bit on the piano right here, because it doesn't matter where we play it, F sharp or G flat. And then we're going to continue on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is going to be D flat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is A flat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is E flat, B flat, and then F right here. And then the next one will be C again. You can start over like that. Okay? So, 2 ways to do it. Either remember the way the circle is laid out, or you simply start on a C and start playing those fifths until you have your entire circle. Okay? So now that you have that circle of fifths, in the next couple of lessons I'm going to teach you exactly what to do with it. I will see you tomorrow when I'm going to explain you what to do with the circle of fifths. Hi guys, welcome to lesson 16, and in this lesson I'm going to teach you how to figure out how many sharps or flats a certain key signature has. Okay, so we have the circle of fifths above right here. If you don't know how to draw that yet, make sure to watch the previous lesson. But for now we have that circle of fifths, and I want you to draw another circle inside the circle with numbers like this. So we can see right below the C we have 0, and then it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's basically already indicating how many flats or sharps there are in a certain key signature, in a certain scale. Okay, so let's start with C and check if it really matches. According to this circle, C should have 0 sharps or flats. So C major, yeah, that's just white keys, and none of them are flats or sharps. So then if we have a look at G, let's see. There's one sharp, there's an F sharp, and as you can see in the circle, it also says 1, so that matches. D, there should be 2 sharps, the F sharp and the C sharp. And according to our circle, there are indeed 2 sharps in the D signature. Let's have a look at A. There should be 3, C sharp, F sharp, and G sharp. Okay? And indeed, according to the circle, there are 3. Let's have a look at F sharp. Okay, there should be 6. F sharp, G sharp, A sharp. Then the B is a regular note. And then C sharp, D sharp, and E sharp. Remember, in this case, it's not F, but it's E sharp. And therefore, we have 6 sharps in F. Okay, let's say it was G flat. We should have 6 flats. G flat is the same as F sharp. So we have G flat, A flat, B flat, and now this one has turned into a C flat. Remember the C flat? So G flat, A flat, B flat, C flat, D flat, E flat, F, G flat. Okay, let's have a look at E flat. According to the circle, it should have 3 flats. So let's see, E flat, A flat, and B flat, right? So that's correct. And then F. Okay, just 1 flat. So that all makes sense. So you can try any of these scales or key signatures as many times as you want, and every time you will figure out that the circle is indicating how many flats and how many sharps there are in a certain key. Obviously you can also, if it's a D flat, that will be the same as C sharp. If it's A flat, that will be the same as G sharp, etc, etc. Okay, so you can actually mark your way through there. Now in the next lesson I'm going to teach you how to use the circle to actually figure out which specific notes are in each scale. So you don't even need a piano. You can just draw a circle and you can pinpoint exactly which notes are going to be in there for sharps and flats. Hi guys, welcome to episode 17 of the PGM Piano Theory course. In this episode I'm going to be teaching you how to use the circle of fifths in order to figure out how many flats and sharps there are in a certain key signature, and also which sharps or which flats that are specifically. So what I want you to do is I want you to have a look at the circle and figure out the junction between the flats and the regular notes. Okay, so if you have a look at the circle, you will see that it's not at the top. You'll have to go a little bit to the left, and between B flat and F, that's actually when we go from G flat, D flat, A flat, E flat, B flat, which are all flats, to F, C, G, D, A. So that's regular notes. So I want you to put a little line in between right there because we're going to use that later. And now I want to show you how you can use that line in order to figure out how many sharps we have in the major scales. So I want to start with C, and as you can see it has a 0, so there should be 0 sharps and 0 flats. Okay, let's check that. Yes, that's correct. 0 sharps or flats in the C major scale. If we have a look at the G, according to the circle there should be 1. So let's have a go. Yes, there is 1 indeed. 1 sharp. Okay, the F sharp. Now if you have a look at that little line we just put up there, the first note on the right is an F. And that's no coincidence, it's the F sharp right here. Okay, let's see if we can figure out for D which sharps are in there. So there should be 2 according to the circle, and there are F sharp and C sharp. Now if you have a look at the right to that line, you can see F sharp, C sharp. Okay, so a pattern is starting to emerge right here. For G we needed 1 sharp, and it was the first one on the right, which is F. For D we needed 2, and it was F and C. Okay, so probably if we're going to try A, it should be F, C, and G. Let's see if that actually works out. And it does. Look, C sharp, F sharp, and G sharp. You can find these 3 in the A major scale. So how did I figure that out? If I look at the circle, I go to the A, I see there should be 3 sharps in there. And then I simply go to that line and count 3 notes, F, C, and G. So now there should be F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp, like that. Right there. Okay? Then if I want to figure out E, I have to start on E, and according to the circle there's 4 sharps in there. So I'm simply going to go to that line and count 4 notes, F, C, G, and D. Those are the 4 notes that should be sharped when I do the E major scale. So, start here. And that's correct. E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D sharp, E. F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, and D sharp can all be found in the E major scale. What about B? According to the circle, it should be 5. And according to my theory on the circle, it should be F, C, G, D, and A. So if we start here, that's correct. Okay, we have C sharp, D sharp, F sharp, G sharp, and A sharp. All the sharps we can have are already in there. Okay, so that's really cool. Oh, wait a minute. How can these
be all of the sharps if for F sharp there should be 6? Let's use the circle. So I have to start on F sharp, and there's going to be 6 sharps. F, C, G, D, A, E. E sharp. Remember when we have an E right here? If you sharp it, we're going to be right here, E sharp. So in F sharp, that's going to be an E sharp. So let's figure that out. Okay. So we have F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, and then the B is a regular note, and then C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, and F sharp. Okay, so the only note that's not sharped is the B. Let's go back to the circle and count down 6 notes. F, C, G, D, A, E. Yeah, that's correct. The B is not mentioned, and that's the only one that doesn't carry a sharp. So that's really cool. This way you can figure out how many sharps there are in any of these C major scales on the right side of the circle. But I also want to figure out how many flats there are in the ones on the left side of the circle. Remember that inner circle indicates that F should have 1 flat, B flat should have 2, E flat should have 3, etc., etc. So what I want you to do is, you have that little section, that little junction right here at the top between B flat and F. I want you to make another one between F sharp and B. And we're going to use that for the flats and actually go counterclockwise. Okay? So we're going to start on F, and there should be 1 flat, as you can clearly see in the circle. Okay, and the flat is B flat. Now if we have a look to the right, basically counterclockwise of the junction right there, you can see that the first note is a B, and again that's not a coincidence because it's the B flat. Okay, B flat is the only note that should be a flat in the F major scale. So if we have a look at B flat on the top of the circle, you can see there should be 2 flats in there, and I want to use the circle to predict the flats. So again, I'm going to go counterclockwise, and we have B and E. So B and E should be a flat according to the circle of fifths. Let's see if that actually is correct. B flat, C, D, E flat, F, G, A, B flat. Sounds pretty good to me. E flat and B flat. And yes, that is of course correct. So now let's have a look at E flat. There should be 3 flats. B, E, and A. Okay? And indeed, we have E flat, A flat, and B flat. B, E, A. Now if we have a look at A flat major, there should be 4 flats in there, so count them up. B, E, A, D. So start right here. Like that. Okay? 4 flats. B, E, A, and D. Then if we have a look at D flat, there should be 5 flats in there. B, E, A, D, and G. So basically all of the black notes should be played. All of these are in there. B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, and G flat. Okay? And then for G flat, of course, there should be 6, as you can see, according to the circle. So count your way up. B, E, A, D, G, C. So C is going to be a C flat when we're in the G flat major scale. Okay? Like that. And that is how you can use the circle of fifths to find the amount of sharps or the amount of flats in a certain scale, and also to identify exactly, to basically be able to predict which ones they're going to be. So keep in mind, you draw a circle, you put in your numbers, and then you put in the dividing lines, and then you use your numbers to figure out how many flats or sharps there are in there, and then you can simply count clockwise for the sharps or counterclockwise for the flats. So in the next lesson, I'm going to be teaching you how to use the circle of fifths to find major chords. So I want to invite you to watch that as well. Hi guys, welcome to lesson 18 in the PGM Piano Theory course. In this lesson, I'm going to be teaching you how to use the circle of fifths to find all of the major chords. And this is a really cool feature of the circle. You can do so many things with it, but this is one of my favorite things you can do. So in the previous lessons, I taught you how to draw the circle, how to use the circle to figure out how many flats and sharps there are on a scale, which specific flats and sharps that are, and now we're here. So make sure you at least
watch all of the lessons about the circle of fifths, so you know what I'm talking about, okay? If you've done so already, great, let's begin. So I'm going to be showing you how to use the circle to find those major chords, but first I might need to explain to you what a chord is. A chord is not that difficult, it's just a combination of 3, 4, 5 notes, okay? And this is the one everybody knows, which is C major, C, E, and G, okay? Now, a major chord is built up out of a ground note, which is going to be the name of the chord. So if I want to play C major, it's got to have a C. And then it's going to be a major third, which, if you remember, is 4 half notes away, right there. And then there's going to be a fifth, okay, which is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 half notes away. Okay? And that's a major chord. Doesn't matter where you start. If you start on A flat, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 for the major third, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for the fifth. And you've got A flat major. Okay? So basically, we're going to be focusing on the major chords, which is C, D, E, F, G, A, and B. Okay? And then we also have the sharps and the flats, of course. So it's very nice that I can find a chord like this by finding the major third and the fifth right here and right here. But I promised you to use the circle to find them. So we're actually going to do that. So in order to use the circle, all you have to do is name out any chord, doesn't matter which one. Let's say C major, okay? Once you name it, you know which note you have to look to. So if I say C major, I have to look at the C in the circle, okay? It's that easy. So I'm going to be playing that already. So I've already got my C, I only need 2 more notes. Now remember, this is the circle of fifths, and in a major chord there's going to be a fifth. So if I take a look to the right of the C, I can already find the fifth, which is going to be the G. Okay, so now I already have 2 notes of my chord. Okay, and now in order to find the third in the middle, this is a really easy way to remember, I have to go 3 notes further than the G on the circle. So D, A, E, A. E is going to be on my third. Okay, so in order to find any major chord on the circle, you're going to call out a note, let's say C. You're going to go 1 to the right and then 3 to the right, and you're done. Okay, C, 1 to the right, G, 3 to the right, E, and I'm done. Okay, let's try with G. Let's try with G. So start on G, do a major third, 1, 2, 3, 4. And now the fifth, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we want to end up on G, B, D. Okay, let's use the circle. Find the G, play that, go 1 to the right, play a D, and then 3 to the right, so a B. Okay? So now we can actually use this system in order to find any of the major chords. And please keep in mind that B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, and G flat, we can also use them as sharps. So B flat could be A sharp, E flat could be D sharp, etc., etc. Okay? So let's call out any chord, doesn't matter which one. D flat, let's do D flat. Use the circle, go 1 clockwise basically. So after D flat we'll have A flat right here. And then from A flat we have to go 3 more. So we will end up on E flat, B flat, F right here. This is going to be D flat major. Okay? Let's do B. So B, we go clockwise. So F sharp or G flat right here. And then 3 more, which is going to be D flat, A flat, E. E flat right here. Okay? So this is going to be B major. Now B major doesn't have an E flat in it. It has a D sharp. Okay? It's the same note, but we call it differently. And that's the one little flaw with the system on the circle of fifths. You don't necessarily know whether it's going to be a sharp or a flat, but you do know it's going to be this note. Okay? So let's do one more B flat. We have to go to the 1 clockwise, so F, and then 3 more D. Right here we have the B flat major chord. Okay, so that's how you can use the circle of fifths to find all major chords really easily, really quickly. And in the next lesson, I'm going to teach you how to do the same, but now for minor chords. Hi guys, welcome to episode 19 already of the PGM Piano Theory course. In this episode, I'm going to teach you how to use the circle of fifths
in order to match major and minor scales. Now you might remember from earlier in the course that it's actually possible to match a major and a minor scale. And one of the examples I gave you was the C major scale. So if we have a look at that, C major, and all of the notes in the C major scale are wide notes. And then if we have a look at the A minor scale, we have the same. Okay, so also only wide notes. Therefore, the notes in the A minor scale are the same as the notes in the C major scale. It's not the same scale, don't get me wrong, but the notes are the same. So if you want to match a major and a minor scale using the piano, that's quite easy. As I told you, you're going to drop down 3 half notes and you'll end up right there on the A, and then you know that the A minor scale has the same notes as the C major scale, okay? If you don't play piano or you don't have a piano handy, it might be easy for you to use a circle of fifths in order to find that scale anyway. Okay, so all you have to do in order to find the matching scales is you have a look at the scale you want to match to. So if you're starting on a major scale, you want to start on the note of that scale, the ground note, the tonic, which is the C, and then you're going to go clockwise on the circle of fifths for 3 notes. So from C you move to G, D, A, and then as we've seen before, we end up on A minor. Okay? So if you want to do the same for G, and you want to figure out which minor scale it will match, you go clockwise for 3 steps, so D, A, E, and therefore the E minor scale will have the same notes as the G major scale. Okay, and you can do this for any key, doesn't matter. You can go from D flat and then you'll end up on B flat. You could go from F and you'll end up on D, etc, etc. Now if you want to go from minor to major, then what you want to do is go counterclockwise for 3 steps. Of course, if we start on A, you go counterclockwise for 3 steps, we find this C. Okay, if we start on E flat, we go counterclockwise and we'll finish up on G flat. It's that easy. So this was the final lesson about circle of fifths, and now in the next lesson we're going to start with chords, and that's where it's going to get really interesting, really fun. And if you follow all of these lessons, you're going to learn so much stuff about improvising, about playing songs in like 10 minutes flat, all that type of stuff. It's just really, really important to get a good grip on your chords. So let's start that right now. Hi guys, welcome to episode 20 of the PGM Piano Theory course. In the previous lessons we've been talking about a lot of stuff: scales, intervals, the circle of fifths, whole notes, half notes, the name of the white keys, the name of the black keys, and now it's time for chords, my favorite subject, and this is really, really, really important stuff, guys. If you maybe skipped a couple of lessons in the previous parts, I can live with that, but this is the most important part I'm going to teach you in this course. Why? If you learn chords, and oh my god, I wish I did, like when I started to play the piano, like I wish I learned as much about it as I know now. If you learn how to play chords, you can play nearly any song right off the bat by just simply looking up those chords. All of the easy lessons I have here on pgmpiano.com are based on chords only, and therefore once you know all of these chords, you could simply click on any of these easy lessons, have a really quick glance and play that song in like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, okay? That's why it's so important to learn these chords. With the more difficult songs, almost all of them, especially pop songs, are based on chords. And when you know the chord structure, it's so much easier to play all of these songs. Apart from that, if you play a lot of chords, your left and right hand will come really in sync. And I even have this problem now that if I play a chord, you can see that my right hand is moving and my left hand is moving as well, right? When I move my right hand into a chord, that left hand automatically jumps to the correct octave, and there's nothing I can do about it. So sometimes you have to play a different octave with your left hand when you play a certain chord in your right hand, and I really have to force my left hand to go there, because I've done it so many times that whenever my right hand moves to a certain chord, my left hand just automatically follows suit, and there's really nothing I can do about it. So that's where you basically want to end up. Having said that, I know some people are intimidated by chords. It's really not that hard. I want you to think of a chord as a recipe, and a chord consists out of 3, 4, sometimes 5 notes, and all we're basically saying is if you take a little bit of this note and a little bit of that note and a little bit of that note and you put them together, you get this sound. And for instance with this one, C major, which is the most commonly known one. What we say is if you play C, E and G together, you get this sound, and this sound, this little harmony of sounds all blending together, that's what we call C major. Okay? You could also play like this. It's a different kind of sound, a different quality. We call that C minor. Okay? You don't need to remember that. I'm going to explain all of that in the next couple of lessons. But what's important to realize is that if I play E and G together, I'm missing that little sound of the C, and therefore it's not C major. Okay? It's just E and G together. Now, what's important to realize is that when you play chords, you don't necessarily have to play all of them together in this little box. You could also play the C right here, and then play the E and the G right here, and you still have C major. Okay, the only requirement for C major is that you play C, E and G, and you don't even have to play them at the same time. You could go like this. You're still playing the C major chord. Okay, so it's basically the same as with the scales, where we say you have to play these notes and you're not allowed to play these notes in order for it to be an F major scale. It's the same with chords. You have to play these notes and you're not allowed to play any of the other notes, otherwise we're going to change the name of your chord. So on keyboard, a lot of people play chords in the left hand, and it's basically determining what the background music or whatever the thing is going on. I don't know too much about keyboards, to be honest, but it's basically determining that that music is in the correct chord, so it's matching with whatever you're playing in the right hand. On piano, for our purposes, we're going to be playing a lot of the chords in the right hand, and then we'll be accompanying it with octaves in the left hand. Okay, remember octaves, playing the same note twice. So for instance, if I would play the C major chord, I would play a C octave with that, okay? G major, E minor, D, you know, and that left hand is going to play those octaves. So when you do that, you have quite of a cool sound already, you know? And all you're basically doing is playing 3 C's and then E and G on top of that, and you get a really nice sound. And you can play so many songs with this, and they're really recognizable by just playing these chords, and that's what I'm doing in the easy lessons. So for now, all you need to remember is a chord is a combination of a couple of notes, and in the next couple of lessons I'm going to teach you exactly which combination is going to lead to what type of chord. Okay, keep in mind that you can break them, so you don't have to play them at the same place. You can play them right here. And also keep in mind that you don't have to play this order. You don't have to start on the C and then E and G. You could also play G, E, C, and we still have a C major chord. Okay? That's all I want you to remember for now, and let's head on to the next lesson where I'm going to teach you all of the major chords. Hey guys, welcome to lesson 21 in the PGM Piano Theory course. Today I'm going to teach you all of the major chords, and they're really important to know, so make sure you're going to watch this lesson. In the previous lesson, I gave you a brief introduction about chords, so I want you to watch that first if you haven't done so already. For now, remember, a chord is a combination of 3, 4, or 5 notes, and in the major chord family, it's going to be 3 notes, like C major. Okay? What's really important to understand is that all of these chords, major, minor, 7th, 5th, augmented, diminished, all of these type of chords we're going to be going through, it's basically a family, and in all of these families we have 12 chords. Look, we have 12 keys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 in this little box right here, and for all of these keys there's going to be a chord. So all of the families have 12 chords, and the first family we're going to have a look at is the major chords. Now, in order to be in a family of chords, there's a couple of rules. So the rule might be there have to be 3 notes, and then they have to be a certain distance from each other. Okay, now all of the chords that match these rules are allowed in the family, and we'll call them major chords. And all of the chords that don't match these rules, we're gonna say, look, sorry mate, you had a good try, but you just don't fit in our family. Okay, you're gonna have to look somewhere else, and there's another 11 chords waiting for you right there. So for the major chords, we have a rule. There have to be 3 notes, okay? And what's really important with all of these chords in the next couple of lessons, this is really important, I can't stress this enough. You have to start with the ground note or the tonic on the left or down at the piano, okay? Otherwise, you're gonna get in so much trouble. How do you do that? If it's a C major chord, you have to make sure that the C is on the left. So start here, Don't go looking for notes right here, because then it won't match. Okay, then it just won't work. So C right here, and we're going to be walking up to find the rest of the notes. So for the major chords, the rule is going to be 3 half notes in between, and then 2 half notes in between. Okay, so you can clearly see 3 half notes in between and 2 half notes in between. Start on the C. You could also see it like this: 1, 2, 3, 4 half notes away is the E, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 half notes away is the G. Okay, but I like to say 3 in between, 2 in between. It's the easiest for me. So this rule will apply to all of the chords in the major chord family. Doesn't matter which one you pick. So let's have a look at the next one, D. Now remember, start with the D at the bottom of the chord. So work your way up. D. 1, 2, 3 half notes in between. And we'll find the next one right there. And then 1, 2 in between. And the next one right there. Okay, let me get my fingers in a more natural grip. So D, F sharp, and A is D major. Let's try it for E. E, 1, 2, 3 in between will be G sharp, and 1, 2 in between will be B. So E, G sharp, and B is going to be E major. Okay, we have F major, G major, A, and B. Okay, have a look right here. 1, 2, 3 in the middle, 1, 2. So C, D, E, F, G, A, B. Back to C again. Okay, now you might be wondering, what about the sharps and the flats? Okay, well, let's have a look. C sharp, 1, 2, 3 in between, F, 1, 2 in between, G sharp. Boom, there we have C sharp major. D sharp, same kind of thing, 3 in between, 2 in between. Okay, F sharp, 3 in between, 2 in between. You can apply this rule to all of the chords. E flat, if it's a flat, doesn't matter. 1, 2, 3, G, 1, 2, B flat. Okay? So this way you can find all of the major chords. And what I would suggest you do is to actually practice to play them. So start here, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And you can also do it here, C sharp, D sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, and the flats will be exactly the same chords. Okay? So these are all of the major chords. Now in the next lesson, I'm going to teach you how to figure out all of the minor chords. So make sure to have a look at that. Hi guys, welcome to episode 22 in the PGM Piano Theory course. In the previous 2 episodes, we talked about chords in general and then also the major chords. So if you don't know how to find a major chord yet, I want you to go back to the previous lesson and learn that first before moving on to this one. If you have seen that already, this lesson is going to be really easy for you. So right now we'll be talking about minor chords, and the minor chords is just like the major chords. It's a family. There's a couple of requirements, and if you meet them, you're allowed in, and if you don't, you have to go away and find yourself another family. I know, it's really tragic, but that's just the way it works in the world of music. So I want to focus on the C major chord first, as you remember that from the previous lesson, C, E, and G. And now I want to show you what I have to do in order to make it minor. So in order to make it minor, I have to drop the middle note and the middle note only with half a note. Right there. You hear how that's more sad or more... Look, this is really happy, like... And this is... A bit more sad. That's a minor chord. Okay? So how do we find out the minor chords? By dropping the middle note half a note. So if we have F major right here, we can drop the middle note half a note. And we get the minor chord. Okay? Another way to look at it is basically we used to have 3 in the middle and then 2. Well, for minor we're going to have 2 in the middle and then 3. Okay? 1, 2 in the middle, 1, 2, 3. For F minor that was the same. 2 in the middle and then 3. If we have a look right here at F sharp minor, it's 2 in the middle, which is going to be hard to see by now, but good. 2 in the middle and then 3. So that's the rule for minor chords. You have to be 3 notes, and if you start, again, remember to start on that ground note right here, work your way that way. But if you start on the ground note, there's going to be 2 in the middle, and then 3, ending up right here on C minor. So let's run through all of them. C minor, D minor, E minor, F minor, G minor, A minor, and let me get my hand right, B minor. Okay, then for the sharps, C sharp minor, D sharp minor, F sharp minor, G sharp minor, and A sharp minor. And of course the flats are the same: D flat, E flat, G flat, A flat, B flat. Okay, what I want you to do is practice these minor chords and also practice the major chords right through each other. Okay, so you might grab a piece of paper and a pencil, put it in your phone, and just write down C, E, F, and then maybe do like G, M, which will be G minor, and then B flat, M, E flat, and just write all of them through each other, write like 20, and then just put that list on your piano and start to see if you can figure out all of these chords and play them. Okay, play them with your right hand, because we're going to be mainly playing them with the right hand, but if you want to, you can also practice them with the left. So that's it for now. In the next lesson, we're really going to start playing, because we're going to teach you about chord progressions. And this is also one of the most important things to learn, so make sure to check that out. Hey guys, welcome to episode 23 already in the PGM Piano Theory course. Today I'm going to be teaching you about chord progressions. Now remember, in the previous 2 lessons I taught you major and minor chords, and we're going to be using a couple of them in this lesson. So I really hope you did your homework and practice them, because I'm not going to explain them again. You're going to have to know them by now. So let me quickly tell you what a chord progression is. A chord progression is basically nothing more or less than a little loop. And that loop usually consists out of 4 steps. Not always, but usually it does, okay? Now a chord progression basically says, if we pick a chord, and then another chord, and then another chord, and then a final chord, and we play that again, then we're going to get a sequence, a progression, a loop, if you will. And I've put 4 chords above the piano right here, so you can peek a little bit if you want, and check out those notes if you forgot them. But I've put 4 chords up there, and what happens is, if we're going to play those 4 chords in a row, we're going to end up with a song. And most of the songs, most of the pop songs out there basically use a chord progression of 4 chords. Sometimes they use 2 chord progressions, and that's all. Like, that's the entire song. Let's have a look at the chord progression up there. We have F minor, A flat, E flat, and D flat. Okay, now if we play these in a row, you're gonna get this. Okay, and this is actually Hello by Adele. And basically by playing these 4 chords, if I remember correctly, that's the entire song. That's all that basically happens. So what I want you to understand is that if you keep on looping this, you simply get a song. And that's what we call chord progression. Okay? So all you're basically doing is playing those 4 chords right after each other and turning that into a song. Therefore, if you know your chords and you have a look above the piano right now, you see those 4 chords. You see, F minor, A flat, E flat, D flat. That's all you have to remember in order to play Hello by Adele. So I could accompany it with the left hand, play an F octave, A flat octave, E flat octave, and a D flat octave for all of the chords. So you get this. Okay, so if you do that, if you match these, you're gonna get a song. And all you have to do is keep on playing that. Then later on in this course, if you learn about inversions, you can play it right here, so it actually sounds like the song. Okay? But you don't have to worry about that for now. I'm going to teach you that later. So what's important to remember, a chord progression is nothing more, nothing less than just a couple of chords being played right after each other, and you're going to loop that and play it again and play it again. Okay? It's also possible to play a chord twice and then another one. So let's say you play F minor twice. Okay, it makes it sound different, of course, but that's also a chord progression. It basically says play F twice and then move on to E flat and D flat. Okay? F minor, that is, of course. So, chord progression, just a little loop of chords being played after each other. Most of the pop songs have 1, 2, or 3 of these loops, and that's the entire song. And that's why it's so powerful if you learn how to play these chords. So make sure to check out that lesson because it's really cool. It's going to be a little jazzy. Hi guys, welcome to lesson 24 in the PGM Piano Theory course. We've done major chords, we've done minor chords, we've done chord progressions in the previous episode. I know I went through that a little quick, but we're going to be talking a lot about that later on. So don't worry, I've got a little plan here and I know what I'm doing. For now, I want to teach you the major 7 chords, okay? The major 7 chords are a little bit different than the major chords. Why is that? Because we're going to play a 7th. Remember from the intervals that we have a 2nd, a 3rd, a 4th, a 5th, a 6th, and a 7th. Okay? We're going to put that 7th in here in order to play the major 7 chords. Like this. Okay? So again, as with the major and the minor chords, the major 7 chord is a family of 12 chords. And they're a little bit nitpicky about who gets to be in the family and who doesn't. So in order to find a major 7 chord, what you need to do is find the major chord first. So let's say C major. Remember, 3 in the middle and then 2 half notes in the middle. And in order to find the 7th, all you have to do is simply put another 3 notes in the middle before playing that 4th note. Okay? So the pattern is 3 in the middle, 2 in the middle, 3 in the middle. Right there. Let's see if we can find it for D. So start on D, 1, 2, 3 in the middle, F sharp, 1, 2 in the middle, A, and 1, 2, 3 in the middle, C sharp. Okay? So therefore it's really important to always look for 3 in the middle, because if you're just looking at those wide notes, you might think 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7, and that's not correct, okay? It's not this, it's this one right here. Okay? For E major, this chord right here, 3 in the middle, 2 in the middle, and then another 3 in the middle, and look again, we're going up, okay, to D sharp. So we have C, D, E, and now F right here, okay? So for F, 3 in the middle, 2 in the middle, 3 in the middle. And then G. Ooh, that doesn't sound right. Why doesn't it sound right? Because again, we're not just looking at those wide notes, we have to go up right there. Okay, because we have 3 in the middle, 2, and then 3. So what I want you to do is go through this and figure out all of the 12 chords that belong in the major 7 chord family. And then tomorrow I'm going to be teaching you how to find the minor 7 chords. Hi guys, welcome to episode 25 in the PGM Piano Theory course. If you're still watching as of lesson 1, congratulations, you've been through 24 lessons and you've learned a lot of stuff. If this is the first time you're watching, welcome here, welcome to drop in. I would recommend you to drop back a few lessons to the beginning of chords. So the main lesson about chords, major chords, minor chords, chord progressions, major 7 chords, and then end up here on minor 7 chords. So that's going to be the topic of today, minor 7 chords. If we have a look at what we learned yesterday, the major 7 chords, they consist of 4 notes instead of 3, and they start with a major chord, and then we added that 7th by putting another 3 half notes in the middle. Okay? For a minor chord, we're obviously not going to start on the major chord, we're going to start on the minor chord. And if you remember the template, it's 2 half notes in the middle and then 3. Okay? So in order to find the 7, simply add another 3 half notes, and then you're going to play that. Ooh, that doesn't sound right at all. Why does it not sound right? Because you shouldn't add another 3 half notes. Okay, remember, it's 2 half notes, then 3, and therefore we're going to add another 2 in the middle, ending up right here, and that sounds a lot better. Okay? So the template for a minor chord is 2 in the middle, 3 in the middle, 2 in the middle. Start here, put 2 in the middle, put 3 in the middle, and then another 2 in the middle, ending up right there. Okay? There we go. Let's try D minor right here. Now as you can see, for D minor, we don't have to fiddle about with all of these black keys, it's just white keys, and there's a key in the middle right here. Now why is that? Because if we count 2, 3, and another 2, that's simply where we end up. Okay? E minor 7, 2 in the middle, 3, 2. F minor 7, 2, 3, 2. G minor 7, 2, 3, 2. Okay, A minor 7, 2, 3, 2. And now the biggie, B minor 7, 2, 3, and 2. Okay, we can obviously do the same for the sharps. Let's have a go at F sharp. Put 2 in the middle, then 3, so right there, and then another 2, and ending up right here. So F sharp minor. Let's try for B flat. 2 in the middle, 3 in the middle, and 2 in the middle. Okay, so right here, B flat minor 7. So now I want you to go ahead and figure them all out by yourself. Make sure to practice them, and then you can do something which is a bit annoying, but it's really good to do, and it's to practice the major, the minor, and the major 7 and the minor 7 chords all together. So it's 48 chords. You can write a couple of them down, just write some of them down, like 20, and then put them on your piano and try and find them all and check them to make sure you got them correctly. Okay, once you've done that, you're ready to move on to the next lesson, where we're going to be talking about 5 chords. Hi guys, welcome to lesson 26 already in the PGM Piano Theory course. Today we're going to be talking about 5 chords, and it's going to be a really nice day for you because they are so easy to play. Now I want to remind you that in the previous lessons we've been talking about major, minor, and major 7 and minor 7 chords, and it's quite important that you've got those down before you're getting into this one. Even though these are a little bit more easy, the other 4 families of chords are actually really important and really basic, and you're gonna need those a lot if you want to play songs. So make sure you got them down, and then you can add to your inventory with another 12 chords, 12 really easy chords to remember. So 5 chord, it's basically an octave, remember? The 8th from the intervals is an octave, playing a C right here and another C simply 1 octave higher. So in order to find a 5 chord, all you have to do is play that octave and then find the 5th. Okay, now make sure you start on the bottom. Start on the bottom. Always want to start on the bottom with chords. Simply count 7 half notes, and that 7th note is going to be your 5th. Okay, so your 5 chord will be C, G, C for C5. Okay, C, G, C. Basically, that note is going to be in the middle of your octave. Not exactly in the middle, because we have 2 notes here and 3 notes right here, but it's about in the middle, and that's why it's so easy to find. Cool? Most of the time, well, not always, but most of the time you're going to play them in your left hand. Okay, if you remember that song we played before from the chord progression, Hello? It's me. Okay. If you wanted to make that a little bit more powerful, you could have played 5 chords in your left hand. So instead of simply the octave, play that 5th along as well, you get this. You know, compared to this. Make it a bit more powerful. Okay, and that's why we usually play them in the left hand. But sometimes you play them in the right hand as well. Okay, same song, playing 5 chords. Okay, anyway, the 5 chords, very easy to find. You start on the tonic, find the 5th, and then you simply complete the octave. If you want to do F sharp, find the 5th, complete the octave. F, find the 5th, complete the octave. The only ones where you need to be really careful are B flat. Okay, because you need to go down here. Go to wide note, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then also B, because you need to go up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right there. Okay, so these 2 are a little bit tricky sometimes, and the rest of them are quite easy. So those are the 5 chords. Now in the next lesson, I'm going to be teaching you how to play 7 chords. Okay, so not major 7, not minor 7, regular 7 chords. Let's have a look at that. Hi guys, welcome to episode 27 of the PGM Piano Theory course. Today I'm going to teach you how to play 7 chords, not to be confused with a major 7 chords or minor 7 chords. No, it's just 7 chords. One of them we call C7. Okay, we don't call them C major 7, C minor 7, no, it's just C7. And the pattern for these chords is start on your ground note, put 3 notes in between, put 2 half notes in between, and then another 2 to end up right there. Okay, quite cool chords if you ask me. Let's have a look at E. So start here, put 3 in the middle, put 2 in the middle, and then another 2 to end up right there. Okay? So basically what we're doing is we're playing a major chord and then putting 2 half notes and playing the next note. Major chord, 2 half tones, playing the next one. Okay? Major, 2 half, playing the next one. Major, 2 half, playing the next one. Okay? That's all we're doing right here. I know it's a bit of a short lesson, but these chords are actually really easy to find if you know all of your major chords. All you have to do is put in 2 half tones and you will find that last note. Remember, in order to be in the 7 family, in this case, you need to have 4 notes, and then they need to be 3 half tones in the middle, 2 and 2. And if you got that down, you're allowed in the 7 family. And then tomorrow, we're going to be talking about augmented chords. Hey guys, welcome to episode 28 already of the PGM Piano Theory course. In the previous couple of lessons we've been talking about chords, and in this lesson I'm going to teach you about augmented chords specifically. So we'll be doing augmented chords in this one and then diminished in the next one, and they kind of belong together in a way that they're both a little bit weird, and they can both kind of be used to go from one chord progression to another one, or from one key signature to another one. Even though I have to say, in the most songs that I teach, there's no augmented chords in there, neither diminished, but in some very rare cases it does occur. It's more common in like classical pieces than in, for instance, pop music. However, I felt that I needed to teach you these chords anyway, so we're going to be having a look at augmented chords right now. So in order to find an augmented chord, what you have to play is play a regular major chord. So let's say C major right here. And remember, you have 3 notes in between, and then the next one, and then 2 in between. Okay? Major. Remember, this is minor. And now for augmented, what you're going to do is play that major, but the 3rd note, there's also going to be 3 in between. So you get this. Okay, so 3 in between and then 3 in between. So C augmented right here. D augmented right here. And you can already hear that they sound really weird. 3 in between, 3 in between. E, 3 in between and then 3 in between. Okay, let's do A, for instance, right here, 3 in between and 3 in between. Okay, maybe have a look at F sharp, right here, 3 in between and 3 in between. So you can go ahead and figure out all of the 12 augmented chords by yourself. Remember, it's 3 in between and then another 3 in between in order to find that chord. And I know I'm going over it quite quickly, but I don't want to show you all of these chords because I want you to actually figure them out on your own, because it will make it easier for you to remember them. Okay, so let me just show you E flat right here, and then we'll finish up. You have to figure out the rest of the chords by yourself. And if you have time, have a look at pgmpiano.com. There's over 350 lessons right there. For now, I'm going to say goodbye and see you tomorrow when we'll be talking about diminished chords. Hi guys, welcome to lesson 29 in the PGM Piano Theory course. In the previous lesson, I've been showing you some of the augmented chords, and in this lesson, I'm going to be teaching you the diminished chords. So as you remember, for the augmented chords, you have to play a major chord, and then you have 3 in between and then 2, but instead of having 2 in between at the end, you're gonna have 3 in between, and it gives this really weird sound. Okay, these are the augmented chords. For the diminished chords, I want you to start on a C minor chord. Okay, so we have 2 in between and then 3. And then in order to go to diminished, instead of having 3 at the end, you're now gonna have 2. Okay, so it will be 2 and 2. Okay, let's have a look at D. Right here. 2 in between, 2 in between. Remember to always start on the name of the chord. Okay, play that with your thumb or at the bottom. Okay, at the left of the piano, and then play 2 and 2 in between in order to find the correct chord. Cool. So E with 2 and 2 in between. Let's have a look at F right here. 2 in between and 2 in between. Okay, I'm gonna skip G, A, and B because I want you to find them yourself, but let's continue on with C sharp diminished. Right here, 2 in between and 2 in between. Okay, I want you to find D sharp yourself, and then we'll continue on to F sharp. So major, minor, diminished right here. Okay, and then let's do B flat as well. Right here, B flat diminished. Okay. So please figure out G, A, and B, and D sharp and G sharp for yourself, and then you know all of the diminished chords. It's the same little pattern, 2 in between and 2 in between. So in the next 2 lessons we'll be looking at Sus2 and Sus4 chords, and they are really cool. You can use them to make things a little bit more interesting when you're improvising. Sometimes they're being played in a song originally already, and yeah, they're really cool chords. After those lessons we're going to be going into how to play chord songs, and that's where the real magic will start to happen. So make sure to keep on watching. Tomorrow we'll be doing Sus2, and then the day after Sus4. Hi guys, welcome to lesson 30 in the PGM Piano Theory course. If you're still watching, congratulations, you've already seen 29 lessons, and I think there's about another 29 to come, so we're about halfway there. In this lesson I want to teach you how to play Sus2 chords. We've been doing major and minor a couple of lessons back, and if you haven't seen that, make sure to go back there to learn that first, but for now let's focus on these Sus2 chords. Okay, so what I want you to do right now is to play a C major chord, and if you're playing this, you got it right, and I want you to have a look at how many notes are in between. We've got 3 half notes and then 2 half notes right here. Okay, so 3 and 2. Now as you know, that's always the case with major chords. Okay, doesn't matter where you play them, there's always going to be 3 in between and then 2. Now for the Sus2 chord, what we're going to do is we're going to be moving that note in the middle. So basically the 5th will stay there, the C and the G. It's just going to be the middle note, and you're going to move it 2 half notes down basically. Okay, what you end up with then is you have a situation with 1 half note in the middle and then 4. Okay, and it sounds like this. I really like them. I think it's a really cool sound. Okay, you can try that for D as well. So basically move it down 2 half notes. So the middle note, down 2 half notes, and you get this sound right here. Okay, so C Sus2, and right here, D Sus2. What you're basically doing is you're playing a second, okay, instead of that major third. Okay, for E, move it down 2 half notes. Now notice, with C you're playing 2 wide notes next to each other. With D you're playing 2 wide notes next to each other. But with E you're not going to be playing this. You're going to be playing the F sharp. Okay, why is that? Because we need to have a half note in between. Okay, so from G sharp dropping at 1, 2 half notes right there. Okay, F, G, A, and then B we have the same situation. Not here, not even here, but here. Okay, because we need to have 1 half note in the middle and then 1, 2, 3, 4 half notes in the middle. So here we go again. C, D, E, F, G, A, and then B right there. Okay, let's do D sharp. So normally we play it here, D sharp major. You're gonna drop that middle note, 2 half notes, 2 half tones. So right here. Okay, you hear how nice it sounds? I think they're really cool. F sharp right here. 1, 2, 3, 4 half notes in the middle, and a half note in the middle right here. And maybe let's do B flat as well. Right here. A half note in the middle right here. Okay. And then 4 in the middle right here. So I want you to play all of them, all of the Sus2 chords, and make sure to figure them out. I know I went over them pretty quickly, but in my opinion it's best if you figure out a lot of these chords on your own by just using that little trick. Half note in the middle and then 4 half notes in the middle. I will see you tomorrow where we'll go over Sus4 chords. Hi guys, welcome to lesson 31 in the PGM Piano Theory course. In the previous lesson I talked to you about Sus2 chords, and in this lesson I'll be teaching you the Sus4 chords. So just as with the Sus2, start on a C major, and with Sus2 you're gonna go down 2 half notes. Okay, remember that? Now with Sus4 you're gonna go up 1 half note. So the middle note is gonna go up a half note. Right here. Okay, now this is really important because when I'm playing C major and then Sus2 and then Sus4, it may actually, this is quite a nice chord progression, it may actually appear that I'm just playing notes next to each other all the time. Okay, but you have to keep in mind that when I'm dropping the middle to Sus2, I'm actually going down 2 half notes. When I'm going up to Sus4, I'm only going up 1 half note. But anyway, we're ending up with the same kind of grip. For major, we have 3 in the middle and then 2. For Sus2, we have 1 in the middle and then 4. And for Sus4, we're going to have 4 in the middle and then 1. Okay, so it's basically the reverse of Sus2. Okay, let's do it for D. So D right here, D Sus2, and now D Sus4. Okay, D Sus4, we have 4 in the middle and then 1. For E, let's go to E Sus4 right here. 1, 2, 3, 4 in the middle and 1. I'll let you figure out F and G for yourself. Let's have a look at A and A Sus4 right here. Okay, 4 in the middle and then 1. You can do B by yourself, and then let's do D flat. Okay, D flat major, and right here we have D flat Sus4. Let's do G sharp. So from here to here, G sharp Sus4. 4 in the middle, and then 1 in the middle. Okay, so let's play a C in the left hand, just a single C, and then play C major, C Sus2, C Sus4, and then C major again in the right hand. Okay, like this. Okay, that's a cool little chord progression. And go the other way around. Okay, that's your first little chord progression right there. You can of course do this with any of the other chords. And then jump back to C. And you can fool around a little bit and do anything you like, okay? These were all of the chords I wanted to teach you. There's some more of them, but you will either find that in any of my easy lessons right here on YouTube, or when I'm going through the rest of the PGM Piano Theory course. It doesn't really matter. You already know a lot of basic chords right now, and if there's new chords for you to learn, I will tell them to you at that moment. Hi guys, welcome to lesson 32 in the PGM Piano Theory course. I cannot believe we're here already, 32 lessons in. So if you're still watching, congratulations, you've made it to the actual part where we're going to be playing songs. So what I'm going to teach you as of now is how to play songs in what I call an easy way, by playing the chords that we've learned before and actually using that to play actual songs. Now in the beginning it's going to be quite easy, and then it will be more advanced later on. And in this lesson I'm going to teach you the basic chord setup that we're going to be using with octaves in the left hand and chords in the right hand. So in order to teach you that, I'm going to basically teach you how to play Hello by Adele, and I'm going to use those chords to teach you how we're actually playing chords. So if you have a look above the piano, you see F minor, A flat, E flat and D flat major. Okay, and what I'm usually doing when I'm playing one of these easy lessons is the left hand is going to be playing octaves. Now if you're wondering which octave you have to play, it's actually really easy because they're named out above the piano. We don't have to watch for minor or major. All we're going to do is take the name of the chord. So we have F, so you play an F octave. Remember, playing two notes at the same time is an octave, so an F octave. Okay, then the next one is A flat, so you play an A flat octave, and then an E flat octave and a D flat octave. Okay, so let's play them slowly. Like this, okay? Now this doesn't sound like hello that much, but if I use the correct rhythm, it's a little better, okay? Okay, you can kind of get that idea. Now, in the right hand, we're going to be playing chords. We're not always playing full chords, but most of the time we are. So we have F minor, and then A flat, E flat, and then D flat. Okay? So let's play the right hand. If that went a little bit too quick for you, F minor we have F, A flat and C. Then for A flat, you simply let go of the F and play the E flat on top. So A flat, C and E flat. Then E flat, G, B flat, and D flat, F, B flat. Okay, so like this. And now you're going to put your left hand in there as well and play them at the same time. Okay? Now you might notice a couple of things. First of all, it could be tricky in order to match your left and right hand in the beginning. You're going to have to get used to that, but I promise you, it was really hard for me in the beginning as well, and now it's really easy. So you will actually get there, and you will make quite a progression right there. I don't even have to think about it anymore, and I'm not saying that to brag. I'm just saying that because if I can, you definitely can. Okay, trust me on that one. So I'm playing an octave in the left hand and a chord in the right hand. And basically what we're doing then is playing the F, so the name of the chords, for 3 times, and then adding these 2 notes on the top. Okay, and we'll do the same right here. Okay, so you might be wondering, like, I know it kind of sounds like hello, but it doesn't sound exactly like it. And you're right. Something isn't really matching up. Okay, so what we can do is use inversions. Okay, so instead of playing the chord right here, you may want to play it here, and that sounds a lot better. Okay, or maybe right there, depending on what you want to do. But I'm not going to teach you about inversions in this lesson. I'll start that tomorrow, and it's going to be 3 consecutive lessons in a row, so make sure to watch through them right after each other if you can. For now, this is the basic setup. I'm going to be coming back to this like 100 million times, so if you didn't get it exactly, that's absolutely fine. Just keep in mind, octaves in the left hand, chords in the right hand, and you're going to have a lot of fun playing a lot of cool songs. Hi guys, welcome to lesson 33 in the PGM Piano Theory course, and in this lesson we're going to be talking about inversions. Now it's really important that you watch the previous lesson before watching this one, because in the previous lesson I'm teaching you the basic layout with octaves in the left hand, chords in the right hand, that we're going to be using for all of the other lessons. Okay, so lesson 32 is really important. Apart from that, I'm going to be teaching you root position in this one, then first inversion in the next one, second inversion in the one after that, and then third inversion after that. And I'm basically going to go through it as if it is one lesson, but I chopped it up into these 4 segments because of the different topics. Okay, but basically it's going to be one lesson, so you're going to have to watch straight through that in order to get it. So in this lesson I want to talk to you about root position chords. And you already know root position chords. We've only been doing root position chords for the entire time, but I just want to spend a little extra lesson on it. So when you play the name of the chord, in this case F minor, so you say F minor. So if you play the F on the bottom or on the left of the chord, we call that a root position chord. Okay? What it means is that you play it in the position root, in the root position. Why is that? Because the name of the chord is on the left, and then the rest of the notes are going to be added on the top. Okay? So this is the lowest note on the left, and then the next one is going to be on the right of that, and the next one is going to be on the right of that. And it doesn't matter whether you play 4 or 3, you know, or even 5 notes. That doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that the root position is where the name of the chord is on the bottom. Okay? So let me show you a couple of root position chords. We have C major, C is on the bottom. D major, D is on the bottom. Okay, E minor, E is on the bottom. F major, F is on the bottom. G minor, G is on the bottom. A minor, A is on the bottom. Okay, so all of these are root position chords. If I play this, we have to figure out what kind of chord that is. So you might say A flat because I'm starting on an A flat. However, A flat major is this, A flat, C and E flat. So it can't be A flat because I'm playing an F right here. It could be A flat minor. No, because that's this one right here. It's definitely not one of the diminished ones because look, there's a lot of notes in between. 3 right here and then 4 right there. It's neither a sus or a sus2, so that's really weird. Now, why we're having trouble to find out the name of this chord, that is because it's not in root position. Okay, so if we have a look at the notes, we have A flat, C and F. Remember, in a chord it doesn't matter where you play the notes, it just matters that you have the right set of notes. So A flat, C, F, I don't recognize that chord at all. C, F, A flat, we have 4 in the middle and then 2, I don't know what the heck that is as well. F, A flat, C, 2 and then, wait, it's F minor. Okay, so this chord is actually F minor, even though it doesn't start on an F. However, it's not F minor in root position. This is F minor in root position. This is F minor in root position. Why? Because the F is at the bottom. So when I play A flat, C, F, I'm not playing F in root position, and therefore it might be difficult for you in the beginning to recognize the chord because you have been playing root position chords only. Okay, so let's go straight through in the next lesson to first inversion chords, where you will start to figure out why this is happening. Hi guys, welcome to episode 34 in the PGM Piano Theory course. In the last 2 lessons I taught you the basic layout or the basic setup for piano chord songs, and then I taught you what a root position chord is. If you haven't seen those 2, you have to go back and watch those first, okay? For now, I'm directly continuing on where I left off in the previous lesson. So as I said, A flat, C and F is an F minor chord, but it's not in root position, and therefore we were having trouble to identify it. Let's try out another one. This one right here. It sounds major, but G, B flat, E flat, we have 2 in the middle and then 4, so it can't be a regular major chord, right? That doesn't make any sense. So maybe B flat, E flat, G. See what I'm doing right here? I'm letting go of the G, going up B flat, E flat, G. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 in the middle and then 2. That also doesn't help me at all. So maybe I could move on. E flat, G and B flat are the notes that we have. Oh wait, 3 in the middle right here and 2 right there. So this is actually E flat major, this chord right here. Okay, and this is also the chord I want to talk to you about, because this is not E flat major in root position, as we know. In that case we would have to play it here or here. Okay, but this is E flat major in first inversion, and that's what we're going to be talking about in this lesson, first inversion chords. So what does it mean? It's really not as hard as you might think. Let's take it back a step. Root position means that the name of the chord is on the left. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to be moving notes from the bottom of the chord to the top, so from left to right, and with every step we take we're going to call that an inversion. So you're going to start on root, and then you're going to put a note on the top of the chord, which will be first inversion. Okay, and then after that we're going to be putting a note on the top, which will be second inversion. And then if you have 4 notes, there's another note left, so you can put that on the top when you had third inversion. Okay, what does that look like? It looks like this. E flat, G, B flat is E flat major in root position because the E flat is on the bottom. So what do I need to do in order to get to first inversion? I need to let go of the lowest note, so in this case the E flat, and put that on the top. Okay, so there we go. It's called first inversion because it's the first step where you're gonna end up, because in order for it to be an E flat major we have to have all of these three notes in there, but they don't have to be in this exact position. Okay, so the first possible option whilst walking up is the first inversion, and that's G, B flat, E flat. Okay, now you might say, cool, I got it. Let's hope that you got it. But now we still need to play all of these chords in the first inversion, okay, and that's going to take some time. So let's go through it. I want to start in C major, and then I want you to find the first inversion. So let go of the lowest note, the C, and add it to the top, okay. So we have first inversion right here. Same for D. Let go of the lowest note, add it to the top, okay. E. Let's add it first and then let go. So look, now you can see what's actually happening. We're having 4 notes, okay, but it's still an E major chord because we have E, G sharp and B, okay. We have another E, but it's the same as this E basically. So let go here, we have E major in first inversion, F, F, G, G, A and B, B. Okay? I'm going through it quite quickly on purpose because I want you to take some time and spend on it to figure it out yourself. So C sharp, C sharp, D sharp, D sharp, F sharp, F sharp, G sharp, G sharp, and then A sharp, A sharp. Okay? So what we're going to do is a little test. I'm going to be calling out root position chords and first inversion chords right through each other, and I want you to actually find them. Okay, so the notes are not going to be raining down for now because you're going to need to find them yourself. We're going to start with an easy one, C major and, oh, by the way, we're just going to do the major chords. Okay, so C major, D major, etc. Let's start with an easy one, C major in root position. If you played this, you're correct. Okay, how about D sharp major in root position? Okay, how about F in first inversion? Right here. Okay, so that's already a little bit more tricky. If you got it, congratulations. If not, take some time and you will get that. Okay, how about F sharp in root position? Right here. How about G in first inversion? Have a look at G in first inversion. Right here. Okay, how about D in first inversion? Okay, how about C sharp in root position? How about F minor in first inversion? I told you I was just going to do major chords, but I wanted to do a minor chord as well. Okay, let's do 2 more minor chords. How about E minor in first inversion? And maybe D sharp minor in first inversion. Right here. Okay, so what I want you to do is to go through that and figure out, if you can, the major and the minor chords in the root position and in the first inversion. You can play them right after each other. Go root, first, root, first, root, first. Okay, you can do it like that. You can also, for instance, do root and then first for the next chord, root, first, and do it like that. There's a lot of different ways to do it. But for now, we're going to go right through into the next lesson, which is going to be second inversions. Hi guys, welcome to lesson 35 in the PGM Piano Theory course. In the previous 3 lessons, we did the basic setup of easy lessons for PGM Piano, basically how to play chords, basically how to play a song using chords and octaves. In the one after that, we did root position chords, and in the one after that, we did first inversion chords. And right now, we're at second inversion chords. So if you haven't watched all of the other lessons that I just mentioned, so starting on lesson 32, go back there and watch through all of them. Otherwise, this isn't going to make any sense. Okay, so I hope that by now you practiced the major and the minor chords in the root position and the first inversion. And now we can continue on with the second inversion, so I can finally have a look back at that Adele song. Okay. So, root position, first inversion means you let go of the bottom note and add it to the top. And now second inversion simply means again let go of that bottom note and add it to the top. Okay? Now you might wonder, Mark, what happens if I do a third inversion? Well, if you only have 3 notes, you're back at root position again. Look, the C is at the bottom. Cool? So we have root position, first inversion, second inversion, root. Okay, let's do that for all of the chords. Root position, first, second, root. Okay, play along with me. Root, first, second, root. Root, first, second, root. Okay? Root, first, second, root. First, second, root. And root, first, second, root. Okay? Let's do the flats. So, root, first, second, root. Like that. Okay, I know I went really quick, but you can actually rewind, and now all of the chords are at least in there, so you can have a go at that at your own pace. You can also do the minor chords, that's absolutely fine, but the most important thing that I want you to get from this is that if you're playing a song, especially when I'm playing a song in any of the easy lessons, okay, because all of the easy lessons are based on chords, and you see those chords above the piano and I'm playing this, and you're wondering like, that's so weird because it's not an F minor chord. Yes it is, because look right here, there is the F minor, F, A flat and C. Okay, it's just that my right hand is in a first inversion. Okay, that F got placed from the bottom on the top, and that's why it sounds different. Okay, that's what I want you to keep in mind, that for the chords with 3 notes, that we have 3 possible positions: root, first and second. And that's only for as far as the notes are together. Okay, so they're all basically in one grip. If you would, for instance, play this, then they're not together anymore. Okay, so we have root, first inversion, second inversion. Okay, if you start breaking up such a chord like this, or for instance like this, then we don't call it root or first or second anymore. Okay, it's different. So that's it for now in this lesson. Please remember to give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and we're going to go straight through into the next lesson to talk about third inversions, because they do actually exist. Hi guys, welcome to lesson 36 of the PGM Piano Theory course. Ever since lesson 32 I've been talking a lot about chords and root position, first inversion, second inversion. So if you haven't watched that yet, make sure to go back. For now we're going to be talking about third inversion chords. So what's really important to understand is that if you have a regular chord with 3 notes, and we have our root position, first inversion, second inversion, and then our third inversion, that third inversion is not really an inversion, it's the same as the root position we were playing right there. Okay? So if you have 3 notes, you only have 2 inversions. You have root, first inversion, and the second inversion. Okay? Then after that we're back at root. If however you have 4 notes, you have basically 4 notes to move around. So therefore we have the first inversion right here, we have the second inversion right here, and we have the third inversion right here before being back. Okay, so root position, first inversion, second inversion, and then right here, third inversion before being back at root position. Okay, so that only happens when you have chords with 4 notes. It's basically the same principle as what we've done before, so if you want you can figure that out for all of the chords that we discussed. So the major and the minor 7 chords, have a look at that and see if you can find all of the inversions for them. Hi guys, welcome to lesson 37 of the PGM Piano Theory course. Now that you know all about inversions from lesson 33, 34, 35 and 36, In this lesson, we're actually going to be using that knowledge to decipher the song Hello by Adele to see in what inversions we're actually playing that. So the first thing you need to understand is that when we're playing chords, it's not necessarily a good way or a bad way to play it. There's only different ways it sounds. So I could be playing Adele right here. Okay, but that doesn't really sound like the song, so I can actually change that a little bit until it does sound like it. So let's try repositions. It's a little bit better, okay. I think this one is the original, if I'm not mistaken. But you could also go here. Or do something else. It doesn't really matter, okay? The way I played it though was like this. Okay? As an example. So let's see if we can figure out what it was actually doing. So the chords, we already know the chords F minor, A flat, E flat and D flat. But if you don't know what chords they are, then it's still important that you can actually figure that out. So I started playing the right hand because the left hand, that's all fine. We're talking just about the right hand now. I started playing A flat, C and F. Okay, so you might think again that's an A flat chord, but it's not. Even though we're starting on that A flat, it's not necessarily an A flat chord. Okay, once you figure that out, let go of the A flat, place it on the top. This really doesn't make any sense as well, so continue on, and now you see that we're actually playing an F minor chord. Once you've been doing this a lot, then you actually know all of the chords off by heart, so you will immediately know this is F minor and you don't have to like calculate it like this, but that will take a little bit of time. So F minor, let's see, I had to go 2 inversions, so it's the second inversion, right? No, it's not, because I didn't start in reposition. So what's actually happening, this F was stolen from the bottom right here, okay, and therefore it's the first inversion, okay? This is reposition, this is the first inversion. So then I play this, which is C, E flat, A flat, and that's actually the first inversion of A flat, as you can see right here, okay? And then I went here, which is B flat, E flat, G, and let's put the G back, so right here, and now the E flat back as well, and now we're in reposition. So this is actually the first, second inversion, okay? And then D flat is exactly the same right here. So also the second inversion. So we have F minor in first inversion, A flat in first inversion, and then E flat and D flat both in second inversion. Okay? So if I want to change the song or change the way the song sounds, I can change the inversion. So I can go here. I can change it to reposition. It's the same chords, but it sounds different. Still the same chords, but different inversions. Okay? You could also go here. This is sounding pretty good. Maybe there, so you can do all kind of stuff with these inversions. And then continuing on. So anyway, you can do this for any song. If you cannot figure out which chord it is, simply keep on inverting until you get the correct chord, until you get the reposition, and then you can figure out what it is. Okay? In the beginning this will take some time, but eventually you will actually start to recognize songs real quick and real easy. So for now, please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. We're going to be continuing on with the next lesson, which is going to be lesson 38, and in that lesson I'm going to be teaching you how you can use those chords in order to learn songs even quicker. Hi guys, welcome to lesson 38 in the PGM Piano Theory course. I started talking about chords in lesson 20, so if you haven't seen that one yet, then you have some catching up to do. But if you don't want to go through all of these lessons, at least start on episode 32. That's where you have to start in order to understand what I'm talking about right here. So we've done inversions and reposition chords in the previous couple of lessons, and I've also shown you how you're going to play chords usually with the basic chord setup by playing octaves in the left hand and chords in the right hand. Remember that? So now again, it's an Adele song. I didn't even think about that, but I'm going to teach you how to play Someone Like You by Adele in the old ways. So let's say you don't know anything about chords. I'm going to teach you how to play that song. Okay, here we go. For the left hand, you have to play A and E together, then G sharp and E, F sharp, C sharp, F sharp, or F sharp and C sharp right here, and then D, A, D. Okay, the right hand is A, C sharp, E, C sharp, and you keep on doing that for 4 times. And then you're going to play G sharp, C sharp, E sharp, also for 4 times. Then F sharp, C sharp, F sharp, and then A, D, F sharp, D. Okay, so by now you know how to play the song, right? I don't think so. The reason that is because right now you have to remember all of these notes separately, and it's such a lot of notes to remember. Okay, but the way I remember it is actually not by remembering the notes, but by remembering chords, which is groups of 3 notes, if you remember. And therefore you only have to remember 4 things instead of 12. Yeah, so if we have a look at that right hand, for instance, I'm playing A, C sharp, E, C sharp, which is an A major chord. Okay, so all I have to do is remember A major. Then I'm playing G sharp, C sharp, and E, which is actually a C sharp minor chord. Okay, it's the second inversion, but it's a C sharp minor chord. So we have A, C sharp minor. Then we have F sharp 5. Remember F sharp, C sharp, and F sharp, so that's a 5 chord. And then right here, this is actually D major in the second inversion. Okay, so we have A, C sharp minor, F sharp 5, and D. And if you remember that, you already know this song. Now all you have to do is apply the pattern by playing the bottom note, then the middle, the top, and the middle, and keep on going back and forth. Okay, so start here. A, C sharp minor, F sharp 5, and then all that's left is D major. Okay, for the left hand, I'm basically playing an A chord as well, but I'm leaving out the C sharp. Then I'm playing a C sharp minor chord, but I'm leaving out the C sharp. Then I'm playing an F sharp 5 chord, but I'm leaving off the F sharp. And then I'm playing a D chord right here. Okay, I'm adding a D and I'm letting out the F sharp. So I play it like this. Okay, so also when you know these chords, a lot easier to remember. A, C sharp minor, F sharp 5, but leave off the F sharp, and D5 basically. Okay, so you can imagine that by simply remembering the chords A, C sharp minor, F sharp 5, and D, that, like, let's say 2 years from now, if you've been playing this song a couple of times and you don't know exactly how it's going, even if you would play the chords in root position and with a regular octave in the left hand, okay, so by just playing this, you can already hear that you're basically doing the good thing right here, and then right here, and then you might notice like this sounds really weird, so you could get to work on that a little bit, like no, that's not better, go down, that actually sounds not too bad. Okay, and then you get, and then you're there already. Okay, then you remember, like, wasn't there some kind of pattern going on? So you try. No, that's not it. No, that's not it. That's it. And simply by remembering these 4 chords, you can real easily get back to this song that you learned like 3, 4, 5 years ago. All you have to do is look up those chords, and within no time you'll be playing that song again, because it's so easy to remember these chords and figure it out. Okay, anyway, I just want to show you that by using this chord structure, it's a lot easier to figure out how songs are being played, how to adapt them. So if they don't sound good, you can use your inversions to basically shift the chords to go from here to maybe a little bit lower and like it right here. And then shifting those chords around. And also if you have to do a little pattern like this one right here, instead of remembering all of these notes separately, by simply remembering the chords, it's a lot easier to remember those songs and play them quicker as well, because your hand is already used to a couple of these grips. Okay? So that's what I wanted to tell you in this lesson, not something specific. I just wanted to give you an idea of what you can do when you know all of these chords, and how it makes it easier for you to remember songs, and eventually how to figure out songs by doing that. Hi guys, welcome to lesson 39 of the PGM Piano Theory course. If you're still watching, congratulations. I know there's a lot of lessons, and I'm hoping that you're learning a lot. So I just want to talk a little bit about exceptions on the basic chord piano setup that I've introduced to you. So I want to have a look at G major right here. And what I told you is that when you play G major, you're going to play G octave in the left hand. And that's true. We usually do that when playing these easy lessons or the chord lessons. However, you don't have to do it. It's also possible to, for instance, play a D octave in the left hand, okay, or a B octave. Basically, borrowing from the G, B, D notes right here, you could play either one of them, okay? Keep in mind, the chord is going to change a little bit because this is just G major. When you play it like this, we're going to call that G major / D. Why? Because there's 3 Ds in there, okay? It's pretty dominant. So G major / B, and G major / D. Okay? So that's possible. It's also possible to play, for instance, G and D in the left hand, basically 5th, and G, B, D in the right hand. And then you get a different sound as well than when you play this, okay? So that's also a possibility. It's also possible to borrow a note from here. So maybe you would play D, G, D, and G and B, and play the chord like this. In this case, I'm not playing a D in the right hand, but I am playing them in the left hand. Or like this. Same kind of idea. I'm not playing it in the right hand. I could also do that with the B, for instance. Play it like this, okay, and you can clearly hear that's a different kind of sound. You could go there, which is quite cool, G, B, G, D. So we have G, B, and D, and therefore it's still G major chord. It's also possible, let's have a look at E minor, to play an octave in the left hand that's not in the chord, like this, for instance, and it sounds really cool and jazzy. And why is that? Because we've actually changed the chord. Look, right now we have G, B, E in the right hand and a C in the left hand. So if I remove that E and I place it here, I'm actually getting this chord. So by playing a different octave in the left hand, I could change the chord because I'm simply adding a note. Okay? Then it's also possible to play 5 chords in the left hand. So like this. What you're basically doing is playing a 5 chord, so you play that 5th. Okay. Makes it sound a little bit dark. I think this would be taken a bit too far, so you could stay here, right? So like that. So that's quite cool as a change. Sometimes I do that. I play a song, and then if I want to make it a little bit more grunty, I'll put in that extra note in the middle. So there's a lot of different things you can do with the left hand, and sometimes if you play a note that's not in the chord, you can actually change or alter the chord in the right hand, and thereby altering the entire chord you're playing. Hi guys, welcome to lesson 40 in the PGM Piano Theory course. Today I want to talk to you about right hand chord patterns. Sounds difficult. Actually, it really isn't. It's really quite easy. And basically what you need to understand is that whenever you're playing chords or like these easy songs that I'm basically teaching, we're going to play a pattern in the right hand. And the pattern might be play all of the notes at once. Okay, all of the notes from the chord. So if I have my A major chord right here, A, C sharp and E, the pattern might be I'm I'm gonna play all of these notes at once. And then maybe the next chord, I'm gonna play all of them at once, and then right here, and then right here. Okay, so this is a pattern. I could also play all of the chords twice. Or 4 times. But that's with 3 notes at once. I could also play 1 note at a time. So playing the same chords. And now all of a sudden it sounds pretty much like Adele, Someone Like You. Okay. Why? By simply applying a pattern. Okay. Playing the bottom, middle, top, middle. Like that. And there's other patterns as well. For instance, 2 notes and then 1. Like that. Or taking the 2 outer notes and then playing the middle, or the bottom and the top, of course, which is a little bit less common. Okay, so for instance, playing the 2 notes and then 1, you do that with Apologize. Okay, or which is simply another pattern: top, bottom, middle, bottom. Okay, like that. But you have to keep in mind that whether you're playing the full chord at once, like this, or applying a pattern, it's always going to be a pattern. Okay, when you play the full chord at once, that's just a pattern of playing the full chord at once. There's a lot of patterns, like for instance, bottom, middle, top. And if you, for instance, put that here, you get a beautiful song. But basically you're just playing these basic chords right here, applying a pattern, etc. Okay, so keeping that in mind, if you learn the chords of a song, you can actually apply different patterns to get the result you want. Okay, can become something like okay, so keep that in mind, different patterns for the right hand, and yeah, have a go with that and see what you can come up with. So that's it, these are all of the right hand patterns I wanted to show you. There's tons and tons more, you will find them in the easy lessons. Hi guys, welcome to lesson 41 of the PGM Piano Theory course. In the previous lesson I talked to you about the right hand patterns, and right now I want to talk about the left hand patterns. Basically we're going to keep the right hand in a steady pattern and look at the left hand. So let's have a look at this chord progression. The pattern right now for the left hand is to simply play octaves along with the chords in the right hand. Okay, would you agree? Now the left hand can also go back and forth, like this. Okay, or it could simply go like that, which is playing the full octave and then a single note. I do that a lot. So have a go at that. And when you're going back and forth, you can start on the top one or start on the bottom one. which sounds different. Okay, then of course there is tons and tons of more stuff you can do with the left hand, like for instance which would sound like this. Okay, and there's so much more stuff you can do in the left hand. It's basically the same as in the right, depending on what you want to play. Etc. That left hand can actually play a lot of different stuff, but that's not really a chord song, is it? That's not really an easy lesson. So yeah, the left hand does have a couple of patterns. The most important ones to remember are simply an octave, or playing an octave and a single note, like that, or this one. Because that one is occurring quite a lot as well. And another one that sometimes it's not really that common, but or sometimes you could just be playing a chord. But that's also quite rare. So now you know a couple of patterns for the left hand. We will be seeing a lot more of them. In any of the easy lessons, you're going to see patterns in that left hand all the time. So that's the end of the PGM Piano Theory course. As I've told you before, there is another lesson in the description box down below that will really get you started on how to play the piano, and it's basically a guide as to how to watch my lessons, how to interpret all of the stuff that's on the screen, and also just a lot of tips about combining left and right hands and all that kind of stuff. It's a really useful lesson. If you haven't watched it yet, please have a look at that right now. If you'd rather go straight into learning a song, have a look at youtube.com/pgmpiano. You can find all of the lessons right there by clicking the videos tab. Or if you rather have an alphabetical order of all of the lessons, go to pgmpiano.com and click all lessons right there. I want to thank you so much for watching. It's been a long lesson. If you're still here, congratulations, you've made it all the way till the end, and now you know a lot about playing piano.